Richmond 400 is brought to you by the heartbeat of America, today's Chevrolet, and by Goodyear. Goodyear, because there really is a difference. And by Coors, a beer with a difference worth tasting. A little less heavy, never bitter, but with all the spirit of a great beer. Coors is the one. And by Superflow motor oils from Exxon. Want your engine to last? Go with the flow. Go with Superflow. And by Warn Industries. When the going gets tough, Warn keeps you going.
And a good day to you here at the Richmond Fairgrounds, the all-new Richmond Fairgrounds. Welcome to Turner Broadcasting coverage of the Richmond 400. 36 cars are now being shuffled down below like toys in a sandbox out here. After qualifying has been completed, the tire story is the key story here for this 400-lap, $389,000 event, which will celebrate this new three-quarter-of-a-mile track. Only 12 of the 36 have decided to run the tires they qualified on, which means that 24 others have been moved around. Men all the way up in front, like Bill Elliott, going all the way to the rear. It's going to make this an interesting look at a starting lineup, I'll tell you that, but an interesting day as well, because all the big cars, that's Rusty Wallace and Bill Elliott and Dale Earnhardt, those guys that are 1, 2, 3 in points, will all be coming from the back of the pack on this brand new three-quarter-mile track. It's going to be an exciting afternoon of racing. We have our entire staff ready to give you all the coverage you can possibly stand in the next 4 hours, 3.5 hours of competition here this afternoon. So stay with us for all of our coverage. Johnny Hayes, our old co-host, is right alongside, and he'll be taking a look and analyzing the top 3 in points and how they may do after we get out and visit with Dave Despain at the STP Pit Center for a moment.
We're in the STP Pit Center, where it is really a momentous occasion here today, because the flat, old, worn-out Richmond half-mile is just a memory. And in its place, we have a lovely new three-quarter-mile miniature super speedway. We come here today for opening day, and the stories, well, they are indeed legion. There is, of course, the construction project itself, a $4 million, 6-month miracle. We have the cars on the racetrack, and a big question in the minds of the men who will saddle up those cars: what tire do you run on the all-new surface? That question has scrambled the starting order, sent 6 of the top 10 in the field to the back of the field. And most important, the story of 3 great racers who have come here to battle for the Winston Cup Championship. We have the super speedway ace, Bill Elliott. He became a title contender when he won the Bristol short track in April. For years, the Railbirds figured all Bill had to do to win the crown was get his short track act together. Consider his act together. Rusty Wallace.
We'll be back with the National Anthem, a look at what should be a starting lineup, or prognosis on how some of those top runners are going to do today, following these messages. Broadcasting to you live from the Richmond Fairgrounds. Stay with us now. Live flag-to-flag coverage on Turner Broadcasting. Ceremonies continue to inaugurate this new Richmond Fairgrounds three-quarter-mile speedway. And to sing the National Anthem from Nashville, Tennessee, here is T.G. Shepherd.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're so pleased to have with us one of country music's greatest singers, T.G. Shepherd, who's also quite interested in automobile racing, having a wonderful race car in today's race. T.G. has agreed to come and sing for you. So as you would stand, as we honor our nation with the singing of our national anthem. We'll say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars do
53,000 strong, voicing their approval of P.G. Shepard's rendition of our national anthem as we're coming to you live from Richmond, Virginia. Well, let's take you back a little here. When last we left you from the Richmond Fairgrounds, our TBS viewers, Richmond, you'll recall that Neil Bonnet was going to victory here, winning the final race at the old Fairgrounds track, then a half mile. And Richard Petty, a 13-time champion here, was literally tearing up the track. Well, now, 6 months later, the old Richmond track has evolved into Virginia's largest sports facility. $4 million in a 12-hour-a-day, 6-day-a-week schedule has molded 700,000 cubic yards of dirt into a state-of-the-art 3/4-mile bank, D-shaped oval with 53,000 seats today and more to come. Now, as a racetrack, the drivers will tell you that it's a combination of Rockingham, and they'll talk a bit about Bristol, and they'll certainly mention Michigan and even Charlotte. And Alan Kwiccki told me, he said, you know what this track reminds me a little of? Kalamazoo. I think that's truly the point about this track. It has the look and the size of a super speedway, but it has the soul and the feel of an American short track. It's a great addition to the Winston Cup circuit, but for all of American, Virginia specifically, it's a brand new race facility on which to enjoy some of the most competitive racing there is, Winston Cup competition. We're delighted to have you with us for today's coverage. The field is continuing to shuffle down below us now. They're moving cars back and forth as we get ready to start today's event. How will the drivers see this race? From their perspective, Bob Barsha has filed this report.
Like every other racetrack on the NASCAR Winston Cup Series, the new Richmond International Raceway has its own little idiosyncrasies. So we've asked Neil Bonnet, who won last spring's race on the old Richmond half-mile, to join us, along with local favorite Ricky Rudd, who ran second in that race, to give us their thoughts on the ideal way to get around the new Richmond racetrack. Ricky, let's start with you.
Okay, down the front straightaway is really not a straightaway as you would normally know it. It's sort of a nice arc. What you want to do is when you exit fourth corner, you want to try to let your car sort of drift out against the outside wall, which is a curve all the way across the start-finish line and down into turn one.
Come from the outside wall right down to the line, or maybe even hang the left side wheels over the line. And the key there then is to be able to get in the gas and keep the car low for just a minute. You got a good bit of banking when you first get in the throttle, but as you run out to the wall, the banking goes away and the car has a tendency just to float out to the wall. If you got a pushing condition, it tries to run the front end in the wall. If you lose, it kind of gives you a little flirt with a rear bumper up against the wall. Once you get out there, the car really makes a good straight run.
So it's down the backstretch, which is a pretty lengthy backstretch. Speed yet is somewhat slower than it is on the front stretch, only turning about 8,000 on the backstretch. Heavy brake pressure getting into turn 3, much heavier than turn 1. Then it's wide open throttle off of turn 4, letting the car run out against the outside walls as quickly as you can to let the car build RPM. Then it's down the front stretch.
All right, thanks, gentlemen. But the big topic of conversation here at Richmond has been this new pit wall. I want to get a thought from each of you. Neil, what do you think about it?
Well, I'm missing it about 2 inches every time I come around, and that's the point that I'd like to make. No matter how far they move this wall over, we're always going to pinch that car down the inside of the racetrack. If they move it over 5 foot, we're going to lose race cars over 5 foot. If they move it to that inside wall, we'll be clipping it. It's something that's on this particular racetrack, and everyone has to deal with it, so I don't see how it's a problem. If one guy had to dodge it and the rest of them went around, it'd be different. We all got to deal with it all day long.
All right, Ricky, what do you think about this wall?
I guess my opinion is maybe a little bit different than Neil's. It's here, we got to deal with the wall, and there's no way around it. And the guys at Richmond have done a heck of a job building a first-class facility. Other than one minor technicality and something that I don't think is quite right, is this design of this wall here. They've done everything they could for this weekend to make it as safe as they can by putting these crash barriers on it, which definitely would help instead of running head-on into this concrete wall. It's a situation that's there. Everybody knows it's here, and hopefully everybody will work with each other this race until the next time we come back, they'll have a chance to move this wall.
Well, there's more than just speculation based on testing and practice. We had a real test case out here yesterday. The NASCAR Grand National cars ran the Commonwealth 200. And this will give you some perspective of what we may see today. Let's go to our first Goodyear Racing update with Bob Richards.
Thanks, Ken. As you mentioned, yesterday we saw the first ever action on this brand new 3/4-mile tri-oval. The event, as you mentioned, the Commonwealth 200 for the Grand National cars. Now, the lineup for this one was packed with Winston Cup stars hungry for track time that hopefully was going to help them out this afternoon. Pole sitter Harry Gant, the Skoll Bandit, jumped out front, but he was quickly passed by fellow Winston Cupper Jeff Bodine. Bodine soon fell off the pace, though, suffering tire problems and later mechanical troubles that knocked him right out of the race. The first 11 qualifiers were on Hoosier tires, but heat and new track quickly blistered the Indiana rubber. While the Hoosier drivers went to the pits for Goodyears, several of the series' big stars already on Goodyears, but well back, were headed for the front in this one. The number 84, Mark Martin, was the first to get there from the 12th starting spot. Then came defending series champ Larry Pearson in the number 21, who started 26th and eventually took the point. Pre-race concerns that the new Richmond track would be a one-line racetrack were quickly put to rest by lots of 2- and 3-wide racing. Now, pole sitter Gant fell nearly 2 laps behind when he made a 4-time stop for Goodyears, but that decision really paid off for him in the late going. On the next to last restart, Harry was at the head of the line on the tail end of the lead lap. He drove away from Pearson, then got a big break when Tommy Houston stalled on the track and brought out one last caution. That's all he needed. Harry was just 6 car lengths behind leader Pearson on the final green, and he quickly overcame that gap. With 6 laps to go, Harry dipped to the inside and motored around the series champ, then drove away handily to claim his 2nd straight Grand National win.
I'm not sure I could pass Larry Pearson there or not. He was running awful strong. And, you know, I think my tires, by me putting 4 tires on, his sort of give away the last few laps of the race.
And that is it for this Goodyear update. We'll have updates from the Indy cars who are racing in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin this afternoon, and also results from the Italian Grand Prix a little bit later on. But now, let's go to Dave Despain.
All those Winston Cup drivers raced yesterday in part to get track time and primarily to learn what the tires were going to do, and here's what they learned. This is a Hoosier that ran 40 laps. It's horribly blistered, completely shot. This is a Goodyear that ran 40 laps. It's not worn nearly as badly, but it's not as fast. What the guys learned, make a wholesale rush to Goodyear. One thing we know, a lot of people are going to wear out tires today. 6 of the top 10 have changed tires and thus gone to the back. The hardest chargers will wear out the tires the most. Now, the True Value Hardware people are going to reward the hard chargers in this race. $1,500 to the guy who tops the points. 5 points to lead a lap, 4 for second, 3 for third, so on down. Bill Elliott leads in the race for the $50,000 year-end hard charger award. We'll clock the fastest laps with our Timex Speed Track computers, and we'll post the names of the guys who turn those laps right up here. Quickest lap by Davey Allison in qualifying. Whoever turns the fastest lap of the race gets a new Timex Speed Track for everybody on their pit crew. It's neat. You program in the track length, clock a lap, and it automatically gives you the speed. We're going to be back to review the starting lineup and look more deeply into that tire story because it's really a huge issue here in the continuing tire war. More from Richmond, live right after this.
In the Winston Club standings, Bill Elliott out in front of Rusty Wallace by 26 and 141 over Earnhardt. Among those 3, how do you see it going today, Johnny Hayes?
Well, I think Bill Elliott's very smooth. I think he'll be conservative. I think Rusty Wallace, a little more aggressive, but still smooth, and will be conservative. I think Dale Earnhardt will be very, very aggressive. He needs to make up points right now, so I think the show is going to be watch Dale go after Bill and Rusty.
And they're all coming from the back. More on the tire story. Let's go to Bob Barsham.
Thanks, Ken. Now, folks, consider what these Winston Cup teams go through in order to earn the prestige and the tactical advantage of a starting position at the front of a pack, such as we have here at Richmond. Exotic qualifying engines and car setups that the drivers would never dream of using in a 400-lap race, but they will in order to get those top positions. So consider what it means when a handful of the top teams earn those front positions and then throw them away to start at the back of the pack. It's happened here at Richmond, and the reason is tires. As Dave Despain has already explained, in yesterday's racing, the Hoosier tires blistered badly. That triggered a wholesale change to Goodyear tires, and under NASCAR rules, that means you have to start at the back of the pack. Points leader Bill Elliott, Rusty Wallace, Dale Earnhardt, Jeff Bodine, Darrell Waltrip have all bit the bullet and gone to the back of the pack, where they will start for today's race and have to make their way through the field of 36. One guy, however, did not make the change from Hoosier to Goodyear. He sits on the pole for today's race, and my pit road colleague Jerry Garrett is with him now.
Thanks, Bob. We're down here with Davey Allison on the pole. And, Davey, we wonder if you know something about the Hoosiers that some of the guys that switched didn't know, or do you feel like a sitting duck up here in front?
Well, I don't think we really know anything that anybody else doesn't, but being on the pole position, we couldn't afford to forfeit it. We want to get at least a good shot at that Anheuser-Busch money at the end of the season, and we've been running awful strong, and I think the biggest thing is we're just going to have to take care of these tires at the start of the race.
Will you change brands on the first pit stop?
Well, we're going to wait and see what happens and make that choice after the race gets going a little bit. We're prepared to do that if that's what we need to do, or we're prepared to stay on the Hoosiers if that's what it takes.
Okay, we'll have a good race today. Let's go down pit road with Bob Varsha now.
One of the first teams to make the switch from Hoosier tires to Goodyears was Dale Earnhardt, presently third in points, hoping to get a victory here as he did in both Richmond races on the old half-mile last year. Dale, why'd you make the switch?
Well, the Hoosiers were tearing up after about 10 laps, so we wished we had really qualified on Goodyears. We sort of felt like we needed to qualify on the Hoosiers because of getting a good starting position, but when we seen them tearing up in 10 laps, they ain't no use in starting on them. So, you know, we made the switch, and hopefully we can get up through the traffic and, you know, run a consistent race. The racetrack's new to everybody, and, you know, everybody's just going to have to figure out what's going to go on during the race. Hopefully everybody's got the right setup and we'll all work good, but, you know, hopefully we can be a little better than everybody else. I think the tire combination with Goodyear's got here is going to be the tire to win.
So says Dale Earnhardt, who wins on the short tracks more often than anybody. Now let's go back to Ken Squire.
The pre-race ceremonies are continuing here at the Richmond Fairgrounds Speedway, and there's a special ceremony right now. The Grand Marshal, Leonard Goldstein, is about to get a special phone call here today at Richmond, Virginia.
Hello? Hello.
Bobby?
Yes, how are we doing?
Good. Bobby? I'm standing here with all your race fans and the governor of Virginia, and we all want to know how you are.
Well, I'm doing real good. I'm really glad to hear from all the folks at Miller and all my fans, especially those in Richmond, and I'm doing real good.
Well, it's great to hear your voice. We're glad that you're coming along. And now, the Honorable Governor Jerry Beliles of the great Commonwealth of Virginia has a few words for you. Hold on.
Okay.
Bobby?
Yeah.
I know that you're aware of our new Richmond International Raceway. We're extremely proud of it. You have a lot of friends here who wish you well and hope you will be back soon. Do you have any special words you'd like to say?
Well, yes, I do. Gentlemen, start your engines.
Thank you, Bobby. Good luck to you. Thank you very much,
You see Davey Allison, having heard the command from his injured father, Bobby, back in Birmingham in the Rehabilitation Center. What a moment. Bobby Allison back, in voice at least, giving the command to fire the engines, and on the pole sits his son, Davey. The engines have come to life here, and the brand new 3/4 mile Richmond International Raceway is about to get its baptism by fire as the Winston Cup superstars prepare to roll out and answer a tremendous number of questions here in the next 3 hours. The distance is 400 laps at 3/4 mile. That is a 300-mile race. Ernie Irvan has as much experience here as Richard Petty. Let's meet all the stars. Ken Squire has the starting lineup.
On this 3/4 mile track, the first airing out of the new Richmond track, here is how they will go for the green today as you see them with the engines fired. On the pole, the man who elected not to change tires, number 28, Davey Allison is there, and alongside, driving the Bobby Allison, number 12, is Mike Alexander. Going to row 2, Rick Wilson is there in this wholesale shuffle, and Ken Schrader goes to the outside of row 2. In row number 3, it'll be Butch Miller, the great ASA star, and Michael Waltrip, who originally had qualified well up in 10th place for this race. Going to row 4, there you find Brett Bodine from Chemung, New York, and Greg Sachs driving car number 88. In row number 5 this afternoon, Rodney Combs is now there, and Benny Parsons in the Junie Donlevy car that comes from Richmond on the outside. In row 6, Bobby Hillen Jr. from Midland, Texas, and Ricky Rudd in car number 26, the winner at Watkins Glen. In row number 7, it'll be Dave Marcus, a former champion here in number 71, and Lee Falk in number 32. In row number 8, Kenny Bouchard, leading rookie contender of 88. And the bandit who won yesterday, Harry Gant at number 33. Row number 9 is Eddie Bierschwale out of Texas. And Bob Chat starts alongside at number 66. Going to row 10. Now moving back to row number 10, Dale Earnhardt is on the inside. And Awesome Bill Elliott in number 9 will be on the outside, 20th position. In the 11th row, Rusty Wallace is there. And beside him comes Texas Terry Labonte in the Junior Johnson Chevrolet. Going to row number 12, Jeff Bodines, number 5 from the Hendrick Racing Stable, and Sterling Marlin, who's really been running well in practice, car number 44 from the Billy Hagan Stable. In row 13, Darrell Waltrip, number 17, and of course he's strong on these size tracks, and Phil Parsons, car number 55. He'll be one to be watching from our in-car camera today. Going to row 14, there you find Kyle Petty, and Mark Martin is on the outside of that row in the 28th position. Row 15 is Neil Bonnet. Bonnet victorious on the last race they ran on the old track back here in February, and Lake Speed already a winner this year in car number 83. The 16th row is Alan Kwiccki, and he's given up a lot of ground to start out back alongside of Richard Petty. And don't count Petty out. There have been 5 short track races this year, and in 4 of them he's placed in the top 10. Going to row 17, Dale Jarrett, number 29 on the inside, and Morgan Shepherd in the new number 57 on his flank. In the 18th row is Ernie Irvan, and Jimmy Smut Means rounds out the field as you take a look at what's going on from the viewpoint of the driver of car number 5, Phil Parsons, in the Crown car. Now we're switching inside to Alan Kowicki's car. That Ford, remember Kowicki's had some great runs on short tracks. ASA runner out of the Midwest originally as we settle down for 400 laps. Well, John, what a lineup. I mean, it's all turned around from what there is Mark Martin's car, also carrying an onboard camera today. I think Mark's going to have a good day. In fact, all of these new drivers, since we've got an even table, nobody has any experience here, can really show the veterans some stuff.
Well, I feel like the newcomers have a great chance, but my gut feeling is the veterans, the experience is always what makes it for them. Veterans are veterans, and this racetrack is a lot like Rockingham, a lot like Michigan. We know Bill Elliott runs great at Rockingham and Michigan. All these old-timers run great at those places. So I expect you watch this back group start coming up through the crowd pretty quick.
Pace car comes down, and there's the 4th turn. That's the critical turn of this track. The paper the other day talked only about the wall, and they put 4 55-gallon drums down there full of water to try to remove some of the impact if someone should get in. They are under green and going into turn number 1. 70 feet wide right there, back to 60 most of the way around. 14-degree bank. Back into the back straightaway now. 860 feet long here, and Davey Allison sets the pace.
We got a spinner, Richard Petty, Lake Speed, get together in the back of the pack.
Caution will come out as they complete lap number 1.
Richard Petty continues, Lake Speed continues, but Lake hit the wall pretty strong. A slow car just botched everything back, and nobody had anywhere to go, and that's the problem. Big wreck in the front stretch.
Bodine.
Oh, no.
And I think Wallace.
Rusty Wallace. Man, what a heartbreak. Now, this is the kind of stuff.
Tire off, rolling down into turn 1.
Oh, man. Now,
there you see it, rolling up toward the outside of turn 1. That was as the caution came out. Somebody got drop kicked. Looks like Wallace has torn a tire off. We'll be able to look at some footage and show you what happened in this melee at the beginning as they switched this field all around. Boy, what a start.
Talk about points. Now, we went through all this. The second man, they changed. They went with the conservative way. Let's go with the Goodyear. They got back in the pack and get in a situation that's out of their control. And this is the kind of thing it can cost you a championship. You can see all the people, all the crews over the wall. He's going laps down now. They got a wrecker. They'll do everything they can to get this car back out, but he just can't do anything. Lake Speed coming down pit road.
And so is Richard Petty, but the one in bad trouble is Lake Speed. I think his day is going to be short, too. You can see the front on that car. Now, the Petty car, number 43, is it pit. It's got some cosmetic damage up on the nose, but I don't think anything more severe. All right, let's take a look at what happened in turns 1 and 2. This is in turn 4 after. This is after, as they came down for caution. There you see the Wallace car with the left rear wheel already stripped off it and headed for the inside retainer. Came out after the flag. Let's go to Jerry Garrett.
Well, we're down here in Lake Speed's pit right now, and they got all 4 corners on that accident, but the worst, of course, is the right front. There's some suspension damage under there. I don't know if they'll be able to fix this car enough to get it going again, but they're certainly going to try right now. crew seems to be a little bit optimistic, but they've torn all kinds of sheet metal off the side of the car. You can see they're bringing tires and bits of wheel and suspension back over. I think they've got a real problem.
A wholesale change of positions and a brand new track before the start has caused calamity in the first lap. We're back with you at the Richmond facility, and we're looking at what happened here just a moment ago on the very first lap. Here are the cars coming out of turn number 2. Here's the trouble begins. You see Lake Speed. They slowed down up in front, John. I think Lake jumped on the binders and Richard got into the side of it.
I think that's exactly what happened. Some cars slowed in front, and it just everybody almost stopped, and it looked like Richard came in a little strong, and they got together.
Here's Bob Barsha.
Yes. In Jeff Bodine's pit, Waddell Wilson and the crew goes to work. A Winston Cup official has gone over to talk with Jeff, perhaps to get his view on what happened out there. As you can see, the big problem is the right-hand side. The body work has got to be torn up. They're using the air hammers to get some of the body work out of the way so that they can get a right front wheel to roll freely on that car. Let's go down to the pit center and to Dave Despain.
We have an indication from an eyewitness that the trigger for the second half of that crash, that is the Bodine-Wallace episode, was when Bodine hit Wallace in the back after the yellow flag, or actually it would have been as they were coming to the yellow flag. Now remember the rule. When there's a crash on the backstretch, you race back around to the yellow. The yellow is being displayed there on the first lap, and apparently the incident involved Bodine and Wallace, the championship contender, definitely took a shot there to his championship hopes. Now, there's going to be a lot of work to do today behind the scenes. The guys in the pits are going to have their hands full, obviously fixing crashed race cars, but I think more importantly, picking the right tire combination. One of the things that we're certainly going to see during this yellow is a lot of tire switching. Remember that the guys who started on Hoosiers may have to switch back to Goodyears, and this gives them a great opportunity to do that right now. There is your pole sitter, Davey Allison, who opted for Hoosiers and stayed at the head of the field. There is Bodine, who, by one eyewitness account, caught Wallace in the back to trigger this big second half of this major pileup. For those guys behind the scenes today, believe me, they're going to earn their money, and somebody in that contingent is also going to earn a very nice selection here of Mac tools. In the pit center, we're going to be keeping tabs all afternoon on the activity of the pit crews, the tire changers, the guys who do the work here, or perhaps in this case, the track cleanup crew, because it appears they may have a pretty full afternoon's work as well. We have Mac tools for whoever gets that behind-the-scenes award, and it's a pretty impressive set of more than $1,500 worth of Mac tools. We'll put 4 names in nomination during the course of the afternoon. After the event, we'll pick the Mac tools behind-the-scenes award winner, and they're going to get a mighty hefty prize. Let's see if we can sort out further what has happened here. It's early in the debut of this brand-new racetrack. Let's go back topside to Ken Squire.
Number 1, Davey Allison, who was in the lead, has pitted. And with Davey Allison pitting, he goes to the tail end of the field. Richard Petty and Jeff Bodine continue to do extensive work. They come in, they're trying not to go a lap down, work on the cars, and then get right back out here, skip onto the back of the field, not to go a lap down. Jerry Garrett is standing by with Lake Speed.
One man who had a front row driver's seat, what happened up there, Lake Speed. Lake, from your view, what happened out there to trigger all this?
Well, the car got a little loose up in front of me a little bit, and then Richard Petty ran over me again for the 3rd time this season. That's about all there is to it.
Can they fix your car?
I don't know. It looked like I just saw him replacing a lower control arm, and I'm sure everything else in the front end's bent up too. So we'll just get out there and limp around and try to do the best we can again. The Wins Kmart Delco battery cars running off a good practice. We felt like we had a good shot. We were trying to be conservative and change tires and get on the right brand to start the race because we thought we had a good chance. But we get run over again.
Lake Speed, just one of a number of very frustrated drivers down here on pit road. Let's go down the pit road with Bob Barsha.
Well, we're behind the wall where the Barry Dodson and the crew is working feverishly to get Rusty Wallace back into the race. The car is an absolute mangled mess. A big problem was dirt. When he got down onto that soft, new soil down on the infield here at Richmond, they got it all up into the chassis and up into the exhaust. They had to use broomsticks to try to get all the dirt out of the exhaust. Rusty has fired up the engine, and it does work. The question now is just whether they can get the bodywork fastened down to the satisfaction of the NASCAR inspectors and get him back into this race. A wild start here at the new Richmond International Raceway. Don't go away. It's going to be a long, exciting day.
right, the field under caution from an incident that happened at the very outset of the race. In lap number 1, they came to the line. Out of turn number 2, we had an incident and a second incident as they came to the caution flag. Let's go to Jerry Garrett for an update.
We're down here with Dale Inman and Richard Petty's pits. And Dale, Blake Speed tells us that they got together out there. What's Richard's version of what happened?
Well, he said he went in between two cars, one come up and one come down. He was just caught there, and you know, we got against the wheel. We got against the wheel some, and of course the sheet metal tore off the right front. And until we run, I don't know how much it'll affect the car.
Is Richard telling you anything on the radio about the car right now?
No, it's hard to tell anything. You know, the steering wheel happened to change its position, so evidently it should be okay. But you know, the sheet metal damage, it won't hurt you that much on this track, but there's still a bunch of laps to go, and you hate to be where you're at with a car that's been pretty bad.
Okay, a few questions remain down here in King Richard's pits. Up to you, Ken.
Car number 27, Rusty Wallace, 8 laps down. Car number 5, Bodine, is now 3 laps down. Petty has been able to stay in the lead lap. Let's go to Bob Barsham.
Raymond Beadle owns the car that Rusty Wallace is driving out there. Raymond, what was Rusty able to say about that accident?
Well, we made it through the caution. We slowed down. One car kind of pulled down, and Bodine just ran all over him. I mean, Bodine was trying to pass 2 cars there, and I don't know what his problem was. Evidently, he can't see.
What's the extent of the damage to the car? Is Rusty saying he can drive it in that condition?
Well, we're checking it out right now. We came in, changed some wheels, and cut all the stuff off. I mean, I think we can finish the race, but it's not going to be like it was.
Let's get back upstairs now to Ken Squire.
Jeff Bodine is back on pit road. There you see Rusty Wallace, who has come back on the track and is shown as 8 laps down as the pace car has come in, and we're ready to go racing once again with 12 of 400 laps complete. And the number 12, the Bobby Allison car, being driven by Mike Alexander out in front, and the quick move is on the inside. Michael Waltrip from 5th takes the shot, goes into 4th. As he moves up, tries to challenge Rick Wilson and falls off a little as they come into turn number 2. In the back straightaway, there you see car number 25. That's Ken Schrader in the 2nd spot. Rick Wilson's in 3rd. Brett Bodine has fallen back to 5th as Michael Waltrip, who's having a good weekend here at the track, is up into 4th spot. Car number 88, Greg Sachs, has taken over in 6th. Butch Miller is in 7th. Rodney Combs in 8th. A little further back here we see Ricky Rudd in 9th, and Lee Falk is running in 10th position. For the moment, Mike Alexander is drawing away. Alexander will have a regular ride for the Stavola brothers all of next year. Discovered that just last night, that Mike Alexander will go in all Winston Cup races next year driving for the Stavola brothers, but it will be number 84. The number 12 is still very much reserved and ready for the return of the leader of the Alabama gang, Bobby Allison. Here you see the Allison car, Mike Alexander, one of his proteges, up there just drawing away now by about 15, 20 car lengths in turn number 1. It's good to see the old number 12 flickering up in first spot.
Well, one thing you have to understand, Mike Alexander does have Hoosier tires on, and they were 0.3 of a second a lap faster than the Goodyear. It should last for 30 or 40 laps. That's the question. If it does, then Mike Alexander and these cars can drive away.
Take a look at this struggle a little further back in the pack. There you see the number 88. That's Greg Sachs in the 5th position. Right there with him, Ricky Rudd. On the outside, Brett Bodine. When they get that outside groove figured here and get some rubber down, you're going to see, particularly, I think, Rudd and Gant try the high side on this racetrack. Rudd was saying yesterday he thought that would finally work itself up and keep the RPM level a little stronger on the outside. Here you see the 88, Greg Sachs, driving the Baker car, going wheel to wheel with Ricky Rudd down into turn number 1. Into 2, Rudd has the advantage, and it is Rudd back to 5th spot. Challenge on the outside is being made by New York's Greg Sachs. Even running here. Look just behind them. There you see the Brett Bodine car. And alongside of him is car number 31, and that is Butch Miller. Number 30, Waltrip in 4th. Ricky Rudd trying to get the inside on number 30, Michael Waltrip. Late engine work on Waltrip's car last night. We'll have more on that story later. Here's number 26, Ricky Rudd, finding the inside groove in turn number 4, and he has the mark. Rudd goes up to 4th. Let's go back to the lead again. And there you see the Mike Alexander car just drawing away at this point to car number 25, Ken Schrader in second. The 55 car back here in 20th spot as those top runners change positions. 24 cars elected to change positions begins to meander up to the field. There's 400 laps in the race here today at Richmond, Virginia on this new 3/4 mile track. First time it's ever been utilized for Winston Cup competition. Harry Gant, the winner yesterday.
You know what's ironic, Ken? They were all so happy to get rid of the old Richmond because they crashed so much that cost them so much trouble. Then first shot out of the barrel, we have two major wrecks. But it appears to me that Mike Alexander in his sportsman race yesterday, and he ran real well, learned an awful lot about this racetrack and has found that groove and is really making time. And if those tires hold, then he's going to lap him a bunch of cars early.
23 laps complete. You see the green car just going into third spot. Down to the bottom, Ricky Rudd going into second spot. There's a lap car just in front of him. That's Morgan Shepherd's car, which is a lap down. So Ricky Rudd is now moving into second spot. That'll move Ken Schrader back to third. Rick Wilson stays in fourth. And a surprise, Butch Miller is having a tremendous run. The Coopersville, Michigan campaigner currently leading. The ASA is in fifth. Alan Kwiccki in heavy traffic down here now. See Dave Marcus's number 71 and Darrell Waltrip right there beside him, way back in the field. That's back in the 20th position. 21st position is where Kwiccki is deployed as he tries to work up through the field.
You can see how smooth the racetrack is. Everyone said it was just a beautiful, smooth racetrack. Things are just working so well for all their cars. They're not going sideways. Look at Alan Kwiccki, just a day in the park. You know, it looks like he's going down Interstate 70.
Car number 31 has just picked up another spot. Butch Miller has moved into fourth. Rick Wilson falling to fifth. There's what it looks like from outside, back in that 20th position battle with Waltrip there, Alan Kwiccki, Davey Allison, who pitted early in the going, gave up his lead. Remember, he was right up in the front when we began this function today. Davey Allison sitting on the pole. Car number 12, Mike Alexander, out in front as you take a look back to
Richard Petty has hit the wall in the third and fourth turn.
And you see him falling off.
Caution is out.
In that 14-degree bank, falling off down into the third groove up. 70 feet wide, and it looks like the end of the day on Petty, or they may get him back laps down. Could be repaired. Certainly busted up the right front. Richard Petty in serious trouble with car number 43. Brings out the second caution flag of the day. Oh, that's unfortunate for Petty. A 13-time winner here as they come to the 28th lap was when the caution flag fell. So, with the second caution out, Mike Alexander's big lead is eroded, and he's going to pit along with the rest of the leaders. We'll be back to Richmond in a moment. So, at the 31-lap mark, Butch Miller is now the new leader after several of the front runners pulled on to pit road. Dale Earnhardt has come to second, Bobby Hillen to third, Bill Elliott to fourth, Sterling Marlin to fifth, Terry Labonte to sixth, Neil Bondit in seventh, Darrell Waltrip is eighth, Alan Kwiccki up to ninth, and Phil Parsons into 10th. Let's take a look again, John Hayes, at that incident after the caution flag down here going into turn number 1. The incident that started it was Petty and Speed, and the caution was out. Here was the field coming down, getting the yellow flag. You'll see the number 27 car of Wallace careening off the track into the wall, and there you see the number 5 car, Bodine, spinning amidst the cars as they were coming to the line.
I think what you see is an enormous wad of cars there, and someone makes an erratic move, tries to pick up 3 or 4 spots, and boom, you have that problem.
And bang, Wallace's points hope look a little desperate here as his car is being rolled back. Wallace came into today's race trailing Elliott by 26 points, and that car is going back to the garage area now. We'll get a report from Rusty Wallace and the crew, Raymond Beadle, as soon as we can. Let's go to Dave Despain. We are still under caution, second one of the day. David?
We have a quote from Rusty Wallace, and that quote is, quote, Jeff Bodine had brain fade, unquote. Wallace has accused Bodine of hitting him in the back as they turned for the yellow flag, spinning him out and crashing him. Timing is everything here. Mac Jewell's behind-the-scenes nominee was going to be Rusty Wallace's team. I don't think we can do that. They got him back out on the racetrack. Unfortunately, they couldn't get the car fixed. And so as a result, Rusty Wallace' hopes for the championship have taken a bad blow here this afternoon. In the STP Pit Communication Center, we show Miller, Earnhardt, Hillen, and Elliott as the leaders. Now keep in mind that Earnhardt and Elliott switched tires, went to the back of the field, gambled that they could work their way through traffic. With all the melee here in the early laps, they've gotten a lot of help in doing that, and now their rival for the championship is, at least for the moment, out of the race. Earnhardt, remember, is third in the point. Elliott is the leader. Wallace was in between them, and we're about ready to get back to green, so let's go to Ken Squire.
Pace car is in, and Coopersville, Michigan. Butch Miller driving for Bob Clark out of Crossville, Tennessee, at number 31. 1987 ASA champion comes to the line. Dale Earnhardt trailing him. The car has really had a change of drivers this year. Brad Teague started. Joe Ruttman came in. Now Miller at the controls. And here's a move on the inside by Kyle Petty, trying to get a lap back instantaneously off the line. He's down there. Kyle moving to get that lap back, and Earnhardt coming with him. Earnhardt, who went all the way to the rear, giving himself an opportunity. No, Earnhardt elected to stay on his tires, didn't he? Yeah, he did stay on his tires.
No, Earnhardt did switch to Goodyear tires, but he did stay out on this caution and did not come back in for a pit stop now, and that put him back up front.
So here he is in second spot, and a lap car between Earnhardt and Butch Miller, the leader. Dale Earnhardt. Oh, here's Bodine getting tapped. I think Bobby Shadow, number 66. No, it was Morgan Shepherd, 57, that just tapped him up in turn number 3. Got him a little sideways.
Well, I think you notice already we're getting double wide racing, really good racing. The new racetrack is something. Kyle Petty slowed dramatically back there. Cars are going everywhere. The cars are so close now, and we're running too wide, and that's why everybody's bumping and banging, trying to force their way back to the front.
Butch Miller stays in front. Here is Dale Earnhardt in second, Bill Elliott in the third spot, and here's Elliott really charging now as he pulls up into that third position. Made a nice inside shot on Kyle Petty after he got loose out of turn number 2. They really haven't got this track figured out yet. Let's go to Jerry Garrett.
We're down here with Richard Petty, and Richard, was the second accident related to the first one?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess what happened is that, you know, I got in that field to begin with, and then we didn't change the tires, and undoubtedly what it done, it cut the tire down, and then, you know, then it finally blew out. It didn't really blow out. What happened, went in the corner, wasn't no air in the thing. So it was my fault. We should have changed the tire.
Bad crash in the back straightaway, out of 2. A bad crash, and Harry Gant's car has been wrapped up along with 52. Harry Gant's car on fire up in turn number 3, trying to come into the pits. Gant's number 33 coming to a halt.
The fire blew out. The car looked terrible at one time. The gasoline was coming on the headers, but the car kept moving, and Harry is crawling out of the car. Seems to be fine.
Ernie Urban's car number 2 is pressed up against the wall on the outside. Jimmy Means' car was also involved, and Harry Gant takes a terrible blow. The winner yesterday here in the Grand National race in car number 7, the Whitaker car. Jimmy Means' car already on to pit road after it spun. Pace car has the field in tow. Butch Miller continues to lead, and I believe it's the first time that Miller has had the opportunity to be out in front in a Winston Cup race. 23rd at Darlington, 17th at Bristol. This is his size racetrack. Let's see what he'll do with it. Now look at the number 33. Let's see what happened out here in turn number 2. They're the leaders. Butch Miller leading. There behind, you see the black car, Earnhardt. And then as we pan back, here she comes. Jimmy Means spinning. Ernie Urban is headed for the wall to try to avoid him. Harry Gant gets trapped. Gant's car getting torn up there.
I think Jimmy Means was able to get both of them.
And it was about that moment that car number 33 really erupted in flame. Now 52 has been in the pits, Jimmy Means, and come back out again. Let's check on Harry Gant right now.
We're down here with Harry Gant. The obvious question, Harry, what happened?
Well, the 52 and another car got together, and 52 kept spinning back and forth, and I thought I had him missed, but he come up and tracked into me.
You got a sore left leg already to hit that side of the car. Did you hurt yourself?
Oh, no, just laid me out of the race.
Also out of the race, Rusty Wallace. Tremendous damage to his championship hopes here, not to mention the race car. Rusty, from your viewpoint, what happened on the front straightaway as you came for the yellow flag?
Straightaway, and the caution flag came out. When the caution flag came out, we all slowed. And we slowed, I guess, either Jeff couldn't get on the brake or the throttle stuck or something like that. And he drove over the back of the car, down the roof, down the hood. Just literally drove right over top of the car. And when he did that, it hurt the car so bad that it blocked the oil, jammed mud up in the tailpipe, and the car spun, and the car spun backwards, and had a big problem with it. So, I don't know. It looks like the championship's going to be a tough one right now, and it was terrible, I'll tell you.
You were able to get the car back out there with some quick work on the part of the crew. What was the terminal problem?
Well, what happened after the car spun and got all the mud jammed up in the tailpipe, it must have been a connecting rod or something, because the engine never did run right after all that big wreck. And after that, it finally just blew up. It started losing pressure, and it started hammering a lot. You could tell the engine was getting ready to blow and start smoking real bad.
You were one of the first to test this new racetrack. You said we were going to see great racing here. We've seen demolition and destruction. Is this the future of Richmond? What's going on out there?
I don't really know yet. The situation out there right now, the track is in very, very slick condition. There's a lot of tire rubber buildup from the race before. They didn't get it scraped up from the night before. We're going to have to see how it turns out. Obviously, it wasn't good for me. The tire war is a big problem. It's an everlasting thing, and it's really hurt our... If we lose the championship, it'd be because of the tires probably. Goodyear's got a good tire. Hoosier had a tire that ran real fast, but a blister that forced everybody to go to the Goodyear to start the race. It forced the good cars to go behind a bunch of not-so-good cars, and the not-so-good cars is what got me in a wreck.
What's the solution to the tire problem, the tire war? How do we end it, or should we end it?
I think we just all need to run Goodyears, and I don't know. I can't hardly say that. It seems like the Goodyear's a safe tire. We run fast with the Hoosiers, but we seem to have problems with them living. The Goodyear seems to be a good tire all the way around.
There are 8 races to go. You're just back there with Earnhardt now. If Bill has bad luck, you're right back in and hang in there, okay?
Okay, thank you very much.
That's Rusty Wallace. Let's go back to Ken Squire.
8 races to go this season. Let's hope things come around a bit for Rusty Wallace, who's certainly been on his uppers from Bristol on. Butch Miller continuing to lead. Dale Earnhardt in second. Bill Elliott is third. Sterling Marlin fourth. Bobby Hill in fifth. Terry Labonte in sixth. Phil Parsons in seventh here at the Richmond Fairgrounds, where it's wild and woolly thus far.
Wild and woolly. Richmond 400 coming to you live on Turner Broadcasting today, and a bit of a surprise in our True Value Hard Charger running thus far. Mike Alexander sort of inherited the lead early on and then showed he knew what to do with it, ran away with those early laps, put himself at the top of the Hard Charger leaderboard here, at least in the early going. Remains to be seen. A lot of laps left to build up points for that $1,500 award from the True Value Hardware people. Now here at Richmond, after all the years that the U.S. Air Force Reserve has been a supporter of championship caliber racing, I think it's appropriate that they came on board to be part of our show here today and to present their own special award. And for that, let's go to Colonel Jim Pierce.
To present today's special award is the commander of the 459th Air Force Reserve Military Airlift Wing at Andrews Air Force Base, Maryland, Colonel Larry Bates.
Thank you, Jim. Paul, on behalf of your avid race car fans here in the Richmond area, and there are many, many of them, most of them come here that are members of the Air Force Reserve 459th Military Airlift Wing. They know what teamwork and dedication is all about, as your team does also. In appreciation for all you've done, and on behalf of thousands of Air Force reservists around the country, we salute you and present you with this award. The Commander's Performance Award to Paul Sawyer, President, Richmond Fairground Raceway, 11 September 1988.
Thank you, Colonel.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Sawyer. Paul Sawyer, 72 years of age. Spent $4 million, spent the last 20 years dreaming of building this facility. He's pulled it off, and he'll stick his finger right in your chest and say, you come back in 10 or 15 years, we get another 20,000 seats in here and get all the paving down, and we have seats for 75 or 80. I'll show you what I can do in the next 10 years or so. What a spirit that man has. Here we are, ready for a restarting. Car number 31, Butch Miller, the surprise out here in the Bob Clark car, coming to the line, leading Dale Earnhardt in second, Bill Elliott in third, Sterling Marlin in fourth, and the Junior Johnson car, Terry Labonte, is in fifth spot, back to turn number 1, up on the 14-degree banking, into that back straightaway. It's plenty flat, just about 2 degrees back there. storming, and 44 Marlin is off the pace immediately.
Sterling lost it real bad going in through. He must have a tire going down because he shot up to the wall and came down slowly.
And car number 31, Butch Miller, falls back. We have a new leader. Car number 3, Earnhardt, goes in front as Miller skidded and came almost into the wall. Up in turn number 4, we find Miller looking up from third spot now with car number 3 in front. And here's number 21, Kyle Petty, on the inside, still trying to get that lap back. Getting one lap back is Jeff Bodine. Sandwiched in all of that is car number 9, Bill Elliott. There's Elliott down on the inside, working hard in the red car. Number 57 is Morgan Shepherd. He'd like to get a lap back here in his new mount.
Jeff Bodine's car looks like it didn't hurt it too bad with the accident because he's certainly running well in front of good cars. He has gotten one lap back and has been able to hold the leaders behind him.
Mike Alexander in the Bobby Allison number 12 car started 13th on the restart. He's cutting a caper through traffic out here. Good traffic driver. He continues to work the outside groove at this time. Meanwhile, Earnhardt is first. Elliott is second. Bobby Hillen in the other Stavola Brothers car is in third. Falling to fourth is Butch Miller. Here comes Waltrip moving up through as well in the number 17 car for fifth spot. And you see that shuffle up in front. Lap cars sandwiched in there, the 21 and the 57. The leader, the black number 3, Dale Earnhardt, who has persevered. There have been 5 what they call short track races this year. He's won 2 of them. And he's been in the top 10 in 4 of them. And there's Bill Elliott, who's been looking really strong this year on the short tracks as opposed to some other years when he said this wasn't his best suit. Really changed things around there.
Guys, watch how Dale Earnhardt handles this racetrack. In late qualifying yesterday afternoon, Dale Earnhardt could run higher on these 14-degree bank turns than anybody. He deliberately went out to see where his car worked best on the racetrack, but more important, to see where he could go with it on this totally unknown surface if he had to in order to get to the front of his pack when they changed from the Hoosier to Goodyear tires and to hold it once he got there. I expect we're going to see Dale Earnhardt out front for quite a while.
Here he is trying to get back up on Bodine. Lap down. Thank you, Bob Marcia. 3 lead changes among 4 drivers, but now 54 laps complete.
Well, I talked with Dale Earnhardt last night, and his car's been pushing a little bit, and that's why he lets the car run up a little higher like that. He had problems blistering right front Hoosier tires where he usually destroys right rears being so aggressive. So the racetrack is pushing to him a little bit.
There you see Earnhardt trying to put a lap on Bodine.
He loves to get close to Bodine. Watch these 2 guys.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Bodine loose up there in turn 2.
You think Earnhardt is enjoying this? Watch him. Watch him. If he can get up there in Darth Vader, watch this. Watch this. He just loves to try to intimidate Jeff. I mean, for some reason, ever since they've been together, and they both race hard door to door, and Jeff doesn't back off a bit. Jeff sees it. Watch him. See him slide up and touch him. They love to race each other, and neither one of them will back down an inch.
Still even. Remember that Bodine is not racing for position. Earnhardt is in the lead, with Bill Elliott in second. Earnhardt clear of the lap car. Butch Miller in the number 31 car has come back into third, and he's brought Darrell Waltrip in the number 17 with him into fourth. Bobby Hillen now fifth. Terry Labonte sixth, and Phil Parsons in seventh. Dale Earnhardt out in front. We asked Dale what kind of a guy is going to win here at Richmond today.
I don't know, really. It's going to be, a learning process for everybody. I think consistency is going to be the key. The tire situation is going to be a little bit of a problem to start with. Hoosier's a little bit faster tire right out the bat, but Goodyear seems to be more consistent. So, we're going to try to race the Goodyears and see what happens there. But I think you just got to run a smooth, consistent race and stay out of trouble and, see what happens.
Well, that's Mr. Consistent on the short tracks talking right there, Dale Earnhardt. I think you called it, Johnny Hayes. We scrambled this starting order, and I hope the fans can appreciate it. It was an unprecedented day in Winston Cup racing when so many of these drivers moved to the back of the field to change tires. Johnny called it. He said age and experience is going to be the key to getting to the front. I think there may be one other factor. With Earnhardt, the third-ranked driver, and Elliott, the point leader, running 1-2 on the racetrack, when Rusty Wallace went out of this race, it was like throwing a T-bone steak in front of a couple of junkyard dogs. Those guys knew this was their opportunity to run up there and grab command of the point lead for Elliott, for Earnhardt the opportunity to make up a fairly good-sized deficit and get right into the thick of the battle. That's what brought those guys to the front. Experience and motivation, and you see them running 1-2.
Let's take a little further back in the field now as we watch car number 17, Darrell Waltrip, who has pulled away. He's running up on a lap car, Morgan Shepherd. He had a good battle for about 3 laps with Butch Miller and then drove away from him. And now the story is the man who is in number 11, Terry Labonte, right behind Waltrip, closing in on Waltrip. And Alan Kwiccki is behind Labonte. He is making a great move. You see him back there in the car, number 7. And from Alan Kowicki's vantage point, what's going on directly in front of him. Terry Labonte in the number 11 and the 17 in there. Butch Miller's 31 sliding back a bit after having a very good run for about 20 laps. Alan Kwiccki coming down the main straightaway before 53,000 fans. Sold out for a month here in Richmond on this new track. Here's Kwiccki diving in low, taking the Ford underneath the Chevrolet as he's trying to pick off 4th position. Going into turn 3. Labonte trying to protect the inside. There's that 4th turn wall they are all so worried about. He just stares at it. Somebody just touched you last lap at 113 miles an hour. And here comes Kwiccki again on the inside. This struggle going on for the 4th position in the race. That's what it looks like from the exterior and from the interior of Alan Kowicki's Xerox car. You see him making another press down across the start-finish line, under the flag stand, into turn 1, around the lap car. Kyle Petty really dropping off down here. Here's turn 2. That seems to be where the Ford is tracking. You can see the Chevrolet a little loose up on the outside.
Well, the Ford works real good in a certain RPM range. You know, like from 6,000 to 7,000, the Ford pulls real good. And they feel like that's going to be an advantage at this racetrack because of most times spent at that range. But Alan Kwiccki is a smooth race car driver. He's a very intelligent race car driver. He's going to take care of the car, try to see if it will work, but he's going to try to be there at the end. Sort of like Bill Elliott. He's running Dale Earnhardt down, but he's just one of the smoothest guys in racing. And they're trying to take care of their race cars because people are smoking, tires, cars are going in all different directions. There's all kinds of trouble with cars now.
66 laps completed. There is car number 7 on the inside. Kowicki's Ford up against the Junior Johnson Chevrolet in the back straightaway. Even down into turn number 3. Let's see who gives here. Head on toward that wall, that one they don't like. Entering turn number 4, Alan Kwiccki has the line, but that Chevrolet is the RPM build up on the outside. Kwiccki perseveres. Alan Kwiccki in car number 7 taking over in 4th. Bobby Hillen is pitting. Ken Schrader is pitting. Car number 32, Lee Falk, is in. That car that we thought was off the pace was not the Kyle Petty car, but the Eddie Veerstrail car. Back to the leader. Here's Alan Kwiccki in the Xerox car, and there you see Dale Earnhardt in front. Guess who's in second?
Yes, this is perfect. And Bill's not going to press the issue until he finds out that his car is far superior. Everyone says this racetrack, because of the rubber buildup, will get looser and looser. And then that's when Bill has it figured out. He'll try to go by. If Earnhardt starts sliding sideways.
How about this for irony? Who would have thought 2 years ago that you'd see Bill Elliott, the king of the super speedways, but lost on the short tracks, running down Dale Earnhardt, the king of the short tracks, on a 3/4 mile oval. On my Timex speed track, I just caught Elliott on a lap at 23:59. He is catching Earnhardt. We programmed in the lap, and here goes Elliott going after Earnhardt. A few laps ago, we had Earnhardt at 23:48, 115 miles an hour. My speed track calculated it for me, but it wasn't good enough to hold off Bill Elliott. It stands as the fastest lap of the race thus far, but Elliott, the super speedway star turned short tracker, is right there hanging on Dale's rear deck.
Here comes Elliott down on the inside again, David. He's trying that move in turn 4. coming around to complete 70 of 400 laps this time, and they're even for the lead.
You realize you could have a giant swing here. Bill Elliott's playing with Rattlesnake right now, and if he gets bit, we could have Earnhardt. He's already made up his 100 points on Rusty Wallace, and he can make it up real quick here. So I'm sort of surprised to see Bill testing right now. So Bill must feel like he's a lot stronger, but I guarantee you Dale's going to race him door to door. I believe they might even touch.
They just did touch twice. Both ends of the racetrack. Here's Elliott maneuvering to the bottom of the racetrack again. You know, those Ford drivers, they don't like to talk too much about that medium-range power. Bill Elliott led that time by, and that gave him 5 points. He led at the line. Then Earnhardt took it back in turn 1. Here they are into the main straightaway. And look at Lee Falk, the lap car down on the inside, still able to stick with them. 3 wide into 1.
Let me ask you guys in the booth a question. You've both been studying Bill Elliott this week. The guy seems to be such a head case in the sense that his mood reflects, he's getting passed by that last car there. He won't be happy about that. Bill's mood seems to swing in direct proportion to his position in the championship. A lot of people say the pressure got to him when he was racing Waltrip a couple of years ago. Now he's racing Earnhardt for the title. He's once again become moody, withdrawn, very quiet, very focused on his race car. I wonder if Bill Elliott wouldn't like to get up there and show Dale Earnhardt, the Intimidator, that he's not afraid to get shoulder to shoulder with him, that he, Bill Elliott, the quiet man, can shove and bang on the short tracks with the best of them because he thinks that might be the attitude he needs to win the championship.
I think that is to a degree true. You've got to remember that Elliott has taken over more and more of the work on his car. He reminds me a lot of Mark Donohue in that manner. He doesn't want to share a lot of time. He really wants to get with the business of racing. You've got to respect him for that.
Oh, yeah, and he does sort of dodge a little bit because the better he's doing, the more popular he is. But he does work full-time on his race car. He's helping his brother with change motors. He changes all the springs. Bill Elliott is his own crew chief, and not many other people are in that situation. Bill Elliott and Alan Kwiccki probably the only two.
Well, the big surprise right now are the Bob Clark cars, the 31 and the 32. Here you see Falk staying right with the leader, but a lap down. There's Bill Elliott in second. We asked Bill Elliott how he handles his schedule as a driver and as the key member in so many parts of setting up this race car number 9.
People don't understand. You know, it kind of aggravates me that people label me as not talking to people and stuff like that. But you got to understand that I hadn't got like a Richard Childress or a Cecil Gordon to coordinate everything that they got to do. You know, it's on my mind of what I got to do, and that's the way it's got to be. You know, if I maintain a constant in this race team, I got to be there week in and week out to deal with it.
Thoughts of Bill Elliott about staying up in front where he is right now, just one spot away from the top. Number 3, Earnhardt out in front. Elliott's in second. Kwiccki's third. Darrell Waltrip fourth. Terry Labonte is fifth with 78 complete. It's a magnificent fight for the lead we have here at the Richmond Fairgrounds, this brand new racetrack with 84 laps complete. Here you see Earnhardt in front. Elliott just took a tremendous stab at him, pulled alongside, came up on the back marker and could not get by, but he was there right to the door a second time. Now he's in that second position. There you see Schrader trying to make a lap up, car number 25 just behind him. And there's another dandy battle being waged for third spot. There you see Alan Kwiccki in the Ford, and in fourth, number 17, Waltrip. Alan Kwiccki in that Xerox car just standing on it down through here and making that Ford really handle. Gets out of the line just a tad. Must be working well out there. And Waltrip staying with him in fourth. Terry Labonte is fifth. Rudd is in sixth. And Davey Allison has come back up into the 7th spot. There you see Davey in the number 28 making a magnificent run on a track where his dad won 5 times. And in the early days, who will forget those great races of Richard Petty and Bobby Allison. The first race here for this particular event was won by Richard, and the second year in a Dodge driven by Bobby Allison for Mario Rossi. The Alabama gang scored heavily. Back up front, look at this scramble. 9, Elliott on the inside, Earnhardt on the outside. Back straightaway. Dandy racing. Back into the 14-degree bank. Over the tunnel. 2 new tunnels at this track would really help out. Still even. To the line. Ford and Chevrolet in a magnificent scramble. Elliott presses on the bottom of the racetrack. Oh, Lake Speed has crashed. Fire erupting out from underneath that Oldsmobile. caution is on the track for the third time today.
Fire did extinguish himself. Lake's okay. He's coming out the window.
Lake Speed involved in the first incident of the day with Richard Petty. Now retiring, car number 83, after taking another serious lick here this afternoon. Caution on for the third time. And Lake Speed, new daddy a week ago, clambers out of his car. Let's see if we can discern what happened here to Lake Speed's number 83. Because he's already tapped the wall. He's already slapped the wall. Looks like he really had a tire go down, and now you see he's got a line broken with the fuel cell. That's just fuel in the line, not in the tank. Spilling out, catching on fire for just a moment, and extinguishing himself. Lake is okay. Good news, father. Baby girl a week ago.
Yes, Reese Speed. She's still producing beautiful babies, taking care of her man Lake. He'll be glad to get home.
Now here's your leader, Dale Earnhardt, or who was the leader, or was sharing the lead.
I want
Bill
you to
Elliott.
watch this pit crew. This is the all-pro pit crew. Almost every guy you see was the first team all-pro. They knock it out each week. 11-second, 2 tire stops. It's they will beat your brains out in the pit, and they're a beauty to watch.
Let's go to Jerry Garrett.
Well, we've been wondering, Ken, all day about what's the payoff on the tire story. Were the Hoosiers really just a gumball that would wear out really quick on this track, or were they being hit with a bum wrap? Well, here is the tires that just came off the car. Butch Miller, as far as we can tell down here, he was the last one to go from Hoosiers to Goodyear, and these things are ribbon.
Well, there you see, that's the Hoosier tire that just came off. Goodyear going on for Butch Miller. We'll be back to more of the action from the Richmond Fairgrounds.
Sports, you're watching the cars circulating under caution here in the Richmond 400. At the head of the field is Dale Earnhardt, and just before we broke for that commercial, you saw the championship-winning pit crew at work. Earnhardt's team keeps him at the front of the pack under yellow, but more importantly, they were the first team to figure out yesterday afternoon that the key to going fast here, get the Hoosiers off, get the Goodyears on, take your spot in the back of the field, and then get to the front. Let's give the Mac Tools nomination here for the behind-the-scenes award to the Richard Childress Show. Now, follow me over here. As we watch, we've got Darrell Waltrip, Terry Labonte, Alan Kwiccki, and Ricky Rudd. When they came in that order, we'll see how the yellow has scrambled them. But more importantly, 53,000 people are watching this action. These drivers and crews at work, more than have ever jammed the Richmond Fairgrounds. To find out how they like what they've seen thus far, let's go up and join a member of our staff, Susie Runyon, and get some fan reaction. Susie?
Thanks very much. You know, I've been out here with over the 53,000 fans that are sitting with me, and right beside me are John and Linda, and they're from Virginia Beach, Virginia. Now, John, you've been here a couple times before. How do you like the new look of the track?
I love the track. It's, well, not only is it faster, but the cars are racing 2 and 3 side by side continuously around the track. So it's been more than just exciting.
Well, now, Linda over there, they're married, but they do have their disagreements. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
We have night and day and night. A nice guy and a not so.
No, I mean, you know, about your racers. You're with Rusty Wallace, and he goes with someone else.
Day and night, darling.
All right, thank you all very much, and I want to send it right back up to Ken. Ken?
Thank you very much, Susie. I think that was an Earnhardt fan there, that gentleman.
And I got a feeling
Earnhardt shirt, Earnhardt hat.
His wife was a Wallace fan, and I've got a gut feeling that the Wallace probably controls that family. What about you?
I don't know. I don't want to get in that one. We have better than 93 laps now complete. Part of the 53,000 out here today. Let's go to Bob Barcia.
Well, gentlemen, one of the interesting things about Earnhardt's pit stop were the tires. When they came off the car, the Goodyears looked absolutely superior. Not a mark on them. Just a few pits away, Kenny Schrader took off his Hoosiers, and they were as badly blistered as the tires Jerry Garrett showed us a little while ago. So it looks like the gamble is paying off for the teams that decided to take off the Hoosiers, put on the Goodyears, go to the back of the pack. And I noticed over by Kenny Schrader's pit wall, there's a set of Goodyears ready to go on the next time he gets in as well.
96 laps complete, 18 cars remain in the lead lap with Earnhardt and Waltrip first and second, Terry Labonte third, Alan Kwiccki fourth, Ricky Rudd fifth, Bill Elliott sixth, Davey Allison is in seventh in car number 28, and the number 12 car, the Bobby Allison car with Mike Alexander, is in eighth.
Mark Martin is in 9th, and 10th is Bill Parsons.
We have hashed around this tire issue pretty thoroughly here in terms of switching from Hoosier to Goodyear. Now virtually the entire field is Goodyear shod for the reasons that we've seen. I think the next question that our pit reporters are going to want to explore, will there be enough Goodyear tires to go around? Last time out in Darlington, we saw a wholesale shuffle on pit road. Every car that dropped out of the race, the crews rushed down and ran up the price bidding to buy those tires. When we talked to the Goodyear people before the race, we asked the question, do you have enough tires if everybody in the field switches to Goodyears? And they nodded and said, yes, we may have enough tires. So I think that's one we're going to want to check out, too.
That is certainly going to be key to the rest of this race, the wholesale change we've seen to the Goodyear tire of recent, and particularly the kind of wear that we're seeing on those Goodyears. Earnhardt had that one figured right, John Hayes.
Well, yeah, but I want to be fair to Mr. Newton and Hoosier and to Goodyear. This is a tire fight, and each week you roll the dice, and sometimes you come up a little short. He built a softer, Mr. Newton built a softer compound, a little wider tire. He's running on new pavement, which overheated the tires a little more than he anticipated.
There you see Lake Speed's tire off. I believe that was a Goodyear, but I believe he punctured something on that, the way it rocketed up into the wall.
Yeah, he crashed.
I'd like to say hello to Bobby Allison. 53,000 people standing and applauding when Bobby started the race here today. If you're just joining us, the race was started from Birmingham, Alabama, by the leader of the Alabama gang, Bobby Allison, whose son Davey sat on the pole and currently rides in 7th position after he made a tire change. And of course, Richmond and Allison are almost synonymous. Richmond, Allison versus Petty in those grand days from the past. Those were some of the when you look at the records, there's 5 wins in this race by Bobby Allison, 6 by Richard Petty, and so many great memories of the tremendous battles that pair had on this facility.
Well, it was the hottest thing I've ever seen. He made me cry because I hadn't heard his voice, and I heard all kind of rumors, and I love Bobby Allison. He's been one of my heroes, and he's a class act gentleman, and God, it was good to hear his voice.
Indeed it was.
One more element in that tire story from our in-car camera. You get a nice look at the sunny day here at Richmond. It's real warm down here. And in terms of tires, let's keep in mind that when Hoosier came here and tested, it was a cool, cloudy day. When Goodyear came here and tested, it was in the middle of that scorching heat wave that prevailed much of the summer here in Richmond. In short, Goodyear tested in conditions very similar to those under which we are racing here this afternoon with 1 lap back to green. Hoosier came here and tested when it was cool and cloudy, had to roll the dice, had to estimate how soft to make the tires. They overestimated. They made them too soft as Richard Petty takes a stroll down pit road. That tire testing issue may be the background to the story of how we got to where we are today.
Richard Petty with his favorite girlfriend right there, the numero uno, Linda Petty. What a story she is.
She's hero stuff to put up with all those petties. And most of all, his son like Kyle. Good Lord, I'm telling you, she's a strong woman.
A great lady.
We love her.
Here we are, ready for a restart with 97 laps being shown complete as we come down to the green, and from Alan Kwiccki's car, number 7, running in front, will follow them to the flag and get them back underway. 99 complete for Cummins. We have no scoreboard, and our folks are doing a grand job of keeping us up to date on the laps as we watch the field snarl down into turn number 1. Watches Dale Earnhardt. Jumps out in front. Darrell Waltrip in second. Number 11, Terry Labonte third. And you're riding in the Xerox car in 4th spot, Alan Kwiccki. Back with the leader. And look at Schrader in the number 25 car trying to get that lap back.
Well, you see Schrader's on his Goodyears now, and everything's equal. This is drivers and cars, and this will be a good show for Kenny Schrader because he's had a great year. He's sitting up there 4th in the points, and he's running smarter and better every race. He matures every race, and he's a kid that's going to make it big in this sport in a long time.
Alan Kwiccki is running about 15 car lengths back from the front 3. There you see the number 11. That's the Terry Labonte car. Take a look at this 6th place battle a little further back. You see Ricky Rudd's car right in the middle of it. Davey Allison in there with him. 26, that's the battle for 5th. Rudd is there in the green car, and there's Davey Allison right behind him in number 28. And Mark Martin is there. Bill Elliott's in there as well. Bill Elliott deployed 7th, and Mark right behind him. Now you're riding in the Stolite car with Mark Martin, master of tracks up to a mile. Let's see what he's going to do with this one today. Look at those cars sashay as they come off those corners.
Ken, I keep watching this race in total disbelief. Nobody can pull off. We're racing in bunches. Normally, in these kind of racetracks, a good car will hit a setup and just drive off and leave. And I'll tell you, we'll run 30 or 40 laps, and they're still bunched like that. That's why we're having the banging and the cars going sideways. They're having to drive every single lap like it was the last lap.
That 31 car went a couple of laps down, Butch Miller, when they came in for a tire change, when they went from Hoosiers to Goodyear. And there you see the green car, number 26, Rudd, in fifth. Followed right there, Davey Allison in the hunt in that sixth position. Bill Elliott in seventh, and Mark Martin is in eighth, with Mike Alexander in the 12 car in ninth, Phil Parsons in 10th, and Greg Sachs in 11th. Putting a lap on number 31 is Elliott. Going back into the second turn right here is car number 17 and 11 battling for the second position in the race, and Alan Kwiccki in it as well. They have not changed position. That stabilizes it. Second, third, and fourth for the moment, with 105 laps now reported complete. Waltrip in second.
Again, you can see Alan Kwiccki's a very smart, smooth race car driver. He's not trying to force it too hard. He will play it smart. If it works, he will use it. If he doesn't, he pulls right back in, because he knows the race has a long way to go. And I'm really impressed with Alan Kwiccki.
There you see Alan Kwiccki at work in his workshop, car number 7.
Who is jumping sideways on him. That was a beautiful shot. You can see those hands are turning now, but Mr. Bodine was up under him, and they must have touched or something, because it sure jerked that steering wheel sideways.
Here you see Davey Allison closing up some more. Davey Allison pulled around Ricky Rudd, and there's the number 28 car moving in on Alan Kwiccki. Davey Allison up to fifth, and now taking a shot at fourth. There's Davey Allison on the high side in the Harry Ranier car, and he is trucking. Davey Allison, currently the quickest car on the track, finds himself up into fourth position.
You know, this racetrack a whole lot like Milwaukee, where Alan Kwiccki had so much experience. And I talked to him a long time about this. This track is a lot like some of the ASA tracks he ran on, and he feels at home. And you see Davey drive right by him. Again, I'm telling you, that's intelligence. He's not going to force it with Davey.
Davey Allison trying to pull up and put a lap on Rick Hendrick. Earnhardt continuing to lead. For more battle for second, getting a little stronger here. 17 and 11 getting into it. There you see Terry Labonte.
Well, I tell you what, Dale Earnhardt is pushing Sterling Marlin along. Sterling banged him a little bit and got a lap back, and I think Dale's going to say, okay, big guy, you want to shove me? I will show you what shoving is. So, Sterling, you better hold on, because he's coming after you right now. He's going to try to get you, Sterling. Don't look back.
Battle in that second spot as 17 and 11. Going at it real strong, and there you see Earnhardt, and then the 44 car just up in front of him, the lap car, or about to be lapped, Sterling Marlin. See what will happen now. You see number 11, Labonte, and here we are with that lead combination, the lap car, 44 Marlin, and the number 3 dipping down to the inside, and there goes Labonte up on the outside of Waltrip.
Again, Waltrip is another just genius, smooth race car driver. He's going to try to take care of tires. He's going to try to make sure the setup works. And he's just not going to get in a push and shove match this early.
Here comes Labonte on the outside. He's finally found that outside line and can run it. He's up on Waltrip, and it is Terry Labonte in car number 11. He's floating along the outside and has himself third place as Davey Allison continues to close. For more on the Goodyear side of the tire story, here's Bob Varsha.
Well, Ken, let me answer the question that Dave Despain raised earlier about whether or not there would be enough Goodyear tires to go around if all the teams switched to them for the extent of today's race. The folks from Goodyear say they have almost 700 sets of tires on the premises here in Richmond, and for the dozen sets for each of the teams, that shouldn't be a problem. But there's another reason for this. The Hoosiers are still the faster tires, everyone is saying, even though they don't last as long. So everybody is keeping a set of Hoosiers in their pits in case we get a late yellow with about 20 laps to go, say. Everybody will switch, put the Hoosiers back on for the sprint to the checkers.
There you see the tires, and here you see the racing as Earnhardt is still there with 115 laps complete. number 11, on tracks of less than a mile. This car, number 11, has shared victory this season. Among the winners, he came home at Wilkesboro. Of course, Earnhardt leads. He's had 2 wins this season on tracks of under a mile. At Bristol, Tennessee, and at Martinsville, he has been victorious, leading currently.
I tell you, Bobby Allison's little boy, Davey, is flying to the front. He is now caught Waltrip, and he's in that group. He's running in 4th place, but he is now just pulled right back up on the tail end of Darrell Waltrip, and this is good, clean racing. They're going high, they're going low. This is one of the best days of racing I've seen. The cars are really competitive and close.
Well, we had a cluttered start. If you're just joining us, a serious crash on the start. Last lap at 112-mile-an-hour average. There you see Waltrip taking another shot at number 11, Terry Labonte, as we review the standings. A few laps back. The entire field for you. A lot of fans like to know where their individual stars are running, so we'll give you an idea. Meanwhile, look at these front 4. Now, there is Earnhardt being challenged by Terry Labonte on the bottom. The black number 3 taking the attack from number 11 into turn number 1, and Davey Allison is as quick as anything there. Allison forcing the field at this juncture to really stand on it or give ground. Allison is coming in the 28 behind the 3-car leading, the 11 to 17. There is Allison. 4 cars battling for the lead down to the line and into turn 1, and Terry Labonte shoves a little here.
Well, Terry Labonte's an excellent short track racer, and Junior Johnson and Tim Brewer have always prepared one of the best race cars on the racetrack, and I certainly expect Terry to have a good day. Junior, he's been ugly to me all week, and he jerked my tie and broke some buttons. So I hope Flossie's listening at home and will be real ugly to Junior when he gets home.
Threw you right over the hood this morning.
Yeah, he did.
I was impressed. He's still a strong fellow.
Yeah, I'll say. Flossie's been ugly.
Yeah. Well, the reason, what was the reason?
He just said he didn't like me in a tie.
Car number 3, Earnhardt in front. Here's car number 28, Allison, rim right. Now look at him dive as they duck him 4 wide into the main straightaway for just a moment. Incredible racing here.
Are we at Michigan or is this Richmond? I'm telling you, they're going 3 wide, 4 wide. Paul Sawyer's come up with him a racetrack, buddy.
Davey Allison now trying to show what that Ford can do. Here he comes.
Bill Elliott just slowed dramatically on the backstretch, got together with someone.
Look at this slugfest up in front. Earnhardt in front. Here's Davey Allison in second. Carrying on like his dad here at Richmond. Goes to the inside. Sneaks a peek, and for sure that car will go to the bottom of the racetrack. And that is the secret here, how well you can work right down low. Right up against that very treacherous-looking 4th turn wall. Davey's right there, low on the racetrack. Here he is back into turn number 1.
You know, the thing that impresses me is that this looks so much like a super speedway. Not only in terms of the shape of the track, it's a D like Daytona, Talladega. Not only because of the banking, which is certainly more pronounced than it was here a year ago. Here's Allison caught behind the slower Eddie Bierschwell, and that's going to let Earnhardt squirt back out in front. But the style of driving, remember the old Richmond? It was perfectly flat. You ran hard down the straightaway, and then you jammed on the brakes, ducked down to the inside, had to cover the bottom of the racetrack. There was no room to move up top. This is totally different competition. The track is only a quarter mile longer, but with the speeds that they're running here, they're running over 120 miles an hour out there in qualifying, racing at about 117. Allison racing faster as he works the inside of Earnhardt. But this really does look like the best possible combination of short track and super speedway. And you called it, Johnny. Paul Sawyer has just conceived a bit of genius here. This is a great racetrack.
126 laps complete as Davey Allison in the last 3 laps has driven magnificently on the bottom, and he is pulled by Dale Earnhardt. And here comes Waltrip as the front 4 continue to be gathered up with Ricky Rudd back there in 5th. Alan Kwiccki in the 6th position. Currently in 7th is Mark Martin. Bill Elliott struggling a bit at this point in the race in 9th, and up to 10th is moves Bill Parsons, with 10th Greg Sachs, and 11th belonging to Brett Bodine. We'll be back with more of the action at the Richmond Fairgrounds in this 400-lapper in a moment. We're back with you once again at the Richmond Fairgrounds with 132 laps complete. Davey Allison out in front, just whomping on everybody here, putting a lap on car number 44, Sterling Marlin. The real battle is for second place. There you see Darrell Waltrip in the 17. And following him comes car number 11, Terry Labonte. Sliding back to the field is Earnhardt. Ricky Rudd is charging on Earnhardt right now for the 4th position. The green car on the bottom is the Kenny Bernstein car. And look at him traveling. Ricky Rudd, who looks like he has serious intentions about this event. Ricky Rudd on the bottom side out of Chesapeake, Virginia, just about 100 miles from here. This is his home track. And there's some extra fans here today to cheer on Ricky Rudd, whose father and sisters and brothers first brought him into racing right in this part of the country. Virginia, one of the great racing states. They say more tickets are sold for events like Charlotte and Daytona out of Virginia than any other state in the Union, and now they have a great facility of their own. Here's Bob Barsham.
Well, we kind of lost track of Davey Allison and all those early melees that opened this race. Now he's leading. Robert Yates tunes that race car. Robert, how come Davey's looking so good right now?
Well, I'd like to say that it was Tony Price and his chassis work and Raymond Fox and all the engine guys that's making the car work so well, but I got a feeling it's a lot because of Davey's head. Talked to Davey yesterday, and Davey's so pumped up. His father's feeling good. He gave us some in to start the race, and Davey wants to win it.
How about your foot and tire situation? What's Davey running and why?
Well, everybody's on the hard compound that Goodyear has here. It's safe, and we feel real good about it. We're not really, there's nobody out there to look at the race with on Hoosiers. If it came down to 10 laps, there might be some tough decisions to make in, but right now it's a good race. Everybody on the same tire, and just hope we can win it.
Thanks a lot, Robert. Let's go back to Davis thing.
It's always a good race when you're pulled away from the field. That's what Davey Allison is doing right now. It is not such a good race for the two guys who, for a while early today, looked like they were in the driver's seat in terms of the championship hunt. Dale Earnhardt had been up there in the position we see Davey Allison occupying now. He slipped back to 4th, and Bill Elliott is really struggling. 9th at last report. Keep in mind, it was only 30, 40 laps ago that Earnhardt and Elliott were running 1-2 and pulling away from the field. Now they're both slipping badly. And from the Mark Martin car, we see Elliott's car looks stable on the racetrack, but he's just not getting around quickly enough to move up and challenge the championship rival, Dale Earnhardt. That's going to be interesting to watch. And Johnny, I think maybe you hit on it. We're seeing a little of the old Richmond here. A guy gets the combination, goes fast. Another guy loses the combination and backs up. That's a very familiar pattern here at Richmond.
139 laps are complete, John, and that combination right now has Mark Martin on the bottom of the racetrack in the car number 6, trying for 7th spot on Bill Elliott.
Well, I think that Bill's tires are probably going to weigh a little bit. You know, we're counting Dale and Bill out a little early. We're not even 140 laps into the race, and it's just one minor adjustment. They're probably 5 seconds behind the leader. So these guys, they're taking care of the race car, and when the race car starts going away, they're just going to drive it smooth, and they're not going to race anybody real hard, and they've got plenty of time to get this thing straightened out.
140 laps to 400 now complete. There have been 4 cautions today, 8 lead changes among 5 drivers as Davey Allison continues to lead, and we watch Bill Elliott here in car number 9, able to persevere over Mark Martin in that 7th position. Here's the leader, Davey Allison. And that Ford looking very strong at this point in this Richmond 400 on this brand new racetrack. Down across the start-finish line to tuck another lap into the record book goes number 28. With the banking here at Richmond, we asked Davey Allison, what is the way to use these 14-degree banks?
I think driving into the first turn really hard and being able to have the car turn in the middle. And in the third turn, you're going to have to be gentle. You're going to have to get the car in easy, finesse it into the corner, and then get back in the gas early.
And that's just what he's doing right now. He is finessing it. And his finishes on the tracks of a mile or less this year, of less than a mile, have been improving from the start of the season. When he was here at Richmond, he had a 29th in the early going, and then had an 8th at Wilkesboro, a 6th at Martinsville, and a 4th at Bristol, Tennessee. So he's set up to improve a little bit more today. Here's Alan Kwiccki's in-car camera from the 6th position. Closing on number 3, Earnhardt, who led, now has fallen back into Kwiccki's clutches for 5th position.
One of the beautiful things about the in-car camera, you can see Earnhardt's car push up high right there, and it'll shake a little bit. That means the handle's going on the car, and the tires are not working properly, or they're being used up a little bit. But the in-car camera is one of the best things that ever happened to racing, because you can see things we never could see before.
Here you see Alan Kwiccki taking it right to the wall, and those marks there are created either by the Grand National cars in yesterday's event, or in the qualifying, or the couple of chunks we've had thus far today. That wall's really taking a licking. Here's Kwiccki in the Ford up against the Richard Childress Chevrolet down in turn 1. And Kwiccki looks like he's ready to tighten the screw just a bit here and go for it. Earnhardt trying to salvage anything he can until he gets a caution flag. Hopefully pull on pit road and strap on some new tires.
Earnhardt always has that luxury. He can be 6 seconds behind, and after he makes a pit stop, be 2 seconds behind, because his pit crew is so fantastic. So that's always been one of his strong advantages.
Let's review a little further back for you. In 11th spot right now is Brett Bodine. In 12th is Dave Marcus. 13th is Michael Waltrip. 14th is Dale Jarrett. And 15th is Benny Parsons. And 16th, Neil Bonnet. 17th, Rodney Combs. 18th, Sterling Marlin. And 19th, Kyle Petty. Following with the leaders here and staying right in with Alan Kwiccki in 6th position. He tries to take one away from Dale Earnhardt. Drop him back a spot to that 7th position, or to the 6th position. Earnhardt is in 5th. Last lap at an average speed of 112 miles per hour, and the speed is falling off a bit. The track is getting slippery.
Well, everybody said in the garage area that this racetrack is going to get slippery as it goes on, and they said the way you can tell is where they pick up the motor sound is the further they go into turn. Earlier they was right in the middle. Now you can see they're all the way through the turn before they pick the motor up again, because the car goes sideways because of the slick tires.
Number 28, Davey Allison, sawing to a tremendous advantage. I bet he wishes he could stay on those tires for the rest of the day.
Well, I just get the feeling that Davey's saying, hey, this one's for you, Dad. And I think he does have that advantage over everyone. He's probably driving a little possessed right now. And Bobby, you should be proud of your boy, because he's doing it for you.
5-time winner here, Bobby Allison in 69, 70, 80, 82, and 83, and his son trying to put his name in the Richmond record book on this brand new course. Here's number 11, Terry Labonte, now in the 2nd position at his 2nd place, and running clear for just a moment from that leader, car number 28. Get a look at that interval. Pretty good size here between car number 11, 28 down there entering turn 1.
Almost anything that happens to Davey Allison today is going to be better than what's happened to Davey on this racetrack in the past. As a half mile, Davey didn't like it very much. His best finish here, 26th on a racetrack where his dad won 5 times. They rebuilt the place, obviously, precisely to Davey's liking, because he's 25 spots better than that right now, Ken.
I remember Davey Allison was pushing the bulldozer that Richard Petty used to tear this place up. He gave it a standing ovation, and he found the setup. And for the first time, Davey Allison is getting ready to lap cars on the racetrack. That's how good this racetrack is. It's taken this long to start legitimately lapping cars under green on the racetrack.
He's lapping Neil Bonnet in car number 75, who is being shown in the 16th position. There's Bonnet, 16th position, going a lap down to Davey Allison with 151 complete. Race being run at a slow speed as from what they expected, with so many cautions and getting used to this new facility. A lot of sashaying around this racetrack, a lot of slipping, a lot of skittering. This Thursday's Alabama Sports Figure of the Year will be a very special guy. He'll be honored down there, I believe, in the Birmingham area. We asked Davey Allison how he was chosen for that honor in a state where you always think of great football. He's the choice this year.
Man, I don't know, especially when we got people like Bo Jackson from down there. You know, it's an honor to be called the Sports Figure of Alabama for 1988, but I don't know how it happened.
You must be pleased.
I really am. I'm excited about it, and it's an honor for me because of all the people that were considered for it to be chosen, and not to mention the fact that Bobby Allison's my dad. He won that Daytona 500 this year, and Neil Bonnet's from my hometown also, and he won 2 races this year. To be chosen over all of them combined is just, it's a big honor for me.
He is showing right now why he is so deserving of being the recipient, as he puts a lap on Benny Parsons in car number 90 and takes the 15th car a lap down. Davey Allison having a magnificent day, and when you talk about Daytona and Bobby Allison's victory, don't forget who was on the rear bumper, the kid.
Oh. Not forget the other end of the Alabama gang story. It's not as happy a story, and that is this man, Neil Bonnet, just overlapped by his fellow Alabaman, Davey Allison. Neil won this race in the spring, recall, when he was on such an incredible roll. 3 straight victories, established Hoosier as a force in the series, and then the horrible crashes, the follow-up to a Charlotte wreck of over a year ago, and it has really beaten and battered Neil Bonnet, pondering possible retirement and running 16th on the racetrack. So the Alabama gang story, while it's heartwarming in the Allison sense, certainly has a tug at the heart for Neil Bonnet, who's struggling here this afternoon. It's all part of the excitement, the drama, and the human interest of this Richmond 400. It's coming to you live from the first time from a brand new racetrack. We're happy to be bringing it to you on TBS, and we'll be right back with more. Ford battling Chevy at the head of the field as Davey Allison builds his lead over Terry Labonte here in the Richmond 400. Title contender Rusty Wallace knocked out in an early crash just a couple of laps into the race, rear-ended, he says, by Jeff Bodine and knocked into the wall, and he's out of the event. And I'm wondering what has become of the other 2 title contenders. For that story, let's go topside to Ken Squire.
Well, among those contenders right now, there you see the Earnhardt, number 3, running in 6th spot, and he's trying to fend off that contender in number 9. Bill Elliott running in the 7th position. Mark Martin is in 8th, and that's a struggle all unto itself, while Davey Allison continues to lead by 3 1/10 seconds. That's the largest advantage anyone has had today. Speed has really come down to, as you see, 82.5 miles an hour as we move toward the halfway point in the event. There's number 9, Elliott, still trying to deal with number 3, the Richard Childress car, which has fallen to 6th spot. And why has it fallen to 6th? Let's see if we can get the story from Bob Marshall.
Richard Childress owns the car that Dale is driving today. Richard, we saw Dale go right to the front. Now he's sliding back some. Is there anything wrong with the car? No, just staggers a little bit off on this set of tires. We're going to have to tighten the car up a little bit next stop. Are you going to wait for a yellow, or are you going to have to call him in under green shortly? Well, we're getting ready to make that decision here any minute. So big decision coming up for Dale Earnhardt.
Bill Elliott right there in the 7th. Again in 8th is Mark Martin. 9th is Phil Parsons in the number 55 car. And then in 10th is Greg Sachs with 11th belonging to Brett Bodine and 12th to Dave Marcus. 13th is Michael Waltrip at this point. Get to the 170 lap mark. Davey Allison continuing to draw a bead on any place in the track he cares to run the car. Here you see him. Not ready to put a lap. Is that Brett Bodine's car just in front of him there? Down the back straightaway. I believe that is the Bud Moore car about to be taking a lap. Brett is running in 11th position. Let's go to the battle with Waltrip and Kwiccki now. We're looking at 4th place here. Darrell Waltrip in our live flag-to-flag coverage, trying to protect his flank, but to no avail as car number 7, Alan Kwiccki, just darts up the outside.
Well, that's a perfect example. Now, Darrell Waltrip knows his car's loose and having problems. He's not going to force any issue. He doesn't want to lose time racing him door to door, so he let Alan go right by. If they contest each other, they slow each other down.
Putting a lap on Ernie Urban going into turn 1, into the back straightaway. Alan Kwiccki now 4th. Ricky Rudd is 3rd. Rudd is in 3rd. Terry Labonte 2nd. And Davey Allison is leading the way here at Richmond with 173 laps complete.
You know, there's been a lot of rumors on Alan Kwiccki. He's the guy, one of the hot properties in the sport, and all sorts of teams are wanting Alan Kwiccki to drive their car. It appears to me that Alan Kwiccki is going to stay right where he is, probably start his own engine program. Xerox will continue to be his sponsor, and I think that's a smart decision on his part. He's coming along just at the right speed. He wants to come along, and he doesn't want to put too much pressure on himself because he knows he has a long career here.
He sure does. He's a fine engineer. There's one who reminds you a bit of Elliott. It's very intense.
Absolutely. If I had to compare them driving style, they both work on their cars. They're both intelligent, hard-working people, and they're both not physical on a racetrack. They drive the racetrack very smart, pick it out, but they don't lean on you and bang you unless it's absolutely necessary toward the end.
Which is always necessary.
Yeah, necessary at the end.
Well, Susie Runnion's down here talking with some of the folks. Some of the sold-out 53,000 seats are housing some people that she's with right now.
You know what, guys? I think I've discovered who's really making out with this new track. It's the vendors. They love all these new fans that are here today because they're selling out all their stuff. It's Nancy. She's been here a number of years. And Nancy, how's business going today? No good. No good. Have you found any difference from last year, this year, when you're here selling? Yeah, doing better than we did, yeah. With all the fans, yeah, a lot more fans. Well, the question I have is how in the world did you get such a great spot? You're right here at the edge of the grandstand and you got a view of the racetrack. I don't know. My boss just put me here. The last thing is I don't suppose you can plug me alone, did you? Okay, let's go back upstairs, Jen.
You know how many people pay $20 for selling stuff there instead of him paying them?
I love it. I tell you, I was thinking about that Richard Childress interview a few minutes ago. He's having an open house on October 29th at his race shop, and they've got one of the greatest deals going. They're going to have a Dunk Dale Earnhardt contest.
Got a good battle for second going here, John. Look at Ricky Rudd scramble to the inside. He is nose long, and all of a sudden, car number 11, Terry Labonte, is back there struggling. Remember that Ricky Rudd nearly won this race. That last lap, or last 2 or 3 lap incident out of turn number 2. Here he is challenging Terry Labonte another time.
And you know, tomorrow is Ricky Rudd's birthday, and I have this expert analyst beside of me, Mr. John Cooper, who told me and wrote on a note about 15 minutes ago, Rudd, with an exclamation point. So there are people that know what they're doing, and I'm not one of them.
Well, a lot of people have been saying Rudd all week long. That he considered this home territory, that he really wanted to perform well. They put a little extra work into their effort this past week, getting this thing really ready to go. And, of course, they have a big secret weapon in Bob Riley, who is now working to set that car up for the Kenny Bernstein team.
I'll add to that a vote from the last fan that I talked to when we crossed over to come over here to the STP Pit Communications Center. He said, boy, sure like to see the races on TBS Sports. Glad you guys are here today. Can't wait to get home to watch it on the VCR. And I'll tell you what, Ricky Rudd's going to win it. I think the key, if Rudd wins it, is exactly the one you mentioned, and that's Bob Riley. Back in the days when Junior Johnson, the guy who did number 11 together to carry the body, started, you didn't have team engineers, but that team has an engineer for car 26, and he's a genius. And they've really got it working here today.
And he's one of the nicest people I've ever come across in the game. Bob Riley is just first cabin.
And I believe that's the Kenny Bernstein philosophy. He's so upscale. He has Indy cars now, funny cars, NASCAR. He has all this stuff, and he's rich. The man is rich. He owns stores and stuff and has money other than he makes off his race cars. He's got one of the best-looking women I've ever seen. I wouldn't want to go public with that, but he has done well in that area, too.
Now, there's his car now running up in the second position. Ricky Rudd in car number 26, the Kenny Bernstein wheels. And Rudd has a lot of making up to do, however, if he intends to catch. He's almost a full straightaway behind car number 28, Davey Allison, who is dominating the event at this point. We asked Ricky Rudd who gets the advantage, who has the advantage at Richmond.
I think you're going to see an exciting race, and I wouldn't dare try to pick a favorite here. I think I have to say, other than the Quaker State Buick and Ricky Rudd being a favorite, but besides that, it'd be hard to pick a favorite. It's going to be a good race. I think there's going to be a lot of lead changes. As far as a dominant car right now, it'd be hard to pick it.
Right now, he is in second place, and he is showing a lot of staying power. Chevrolet has won this race time and time again, 8 times to be exact, the last 4 in a row. Ford has won it on 3 occasions. They won it 3 times in a row, 79, 80, and 81, when it was Bobby Allison those first 2 years, and then Benny Parsons won a race for Ford in 1981. Back in the good old days, Plymouth and Dodge each won 4 times, including the first Dodge win by one Robert Allison from over at Hueytown, Alabama. Here's Davey Allison continuing to show the way by better than 4 seconds now, and Phil Parsons is pitting car number 55. He had been running in 9th, and Phil is on pit road in the Crown Petroleum car. That'll slide him back in the standings. But Davey Allison is just demolishing this field. It's got to be demoralizing to think you're really going strong to see him just pull up and wave and go by.
Well, I think we're getting close to normal pit stops, and I think you'll see all the cars starting to come in pretty soon, so maybe Phil Parsons won't get hurt too bad by that stop.
Showing 188 laps complete, nosing down, and now, for the first time, we're beginning to see the 28 car looking like it may be in a scramble on tires.
Yeah, and he's right beside of Bodine, and Jeff, you saw him just surge by. Jeff got new tires just a few minutes ago, and Davey's still out on the old tires, so Jeff should be able to pull away from him, but Davey's hanging real tight.
Davey Allison looking for his second win of the season, won the first one in Michigan. And he has 30 Winston Cup victories to his credit thus far, and 3 poles in '88. That 351 Ford is pulling him along in the lead at the present time. Car number 55, Parsons pitted for 17 4/10 seconds, and he lost 2 laps before he was able to get back on the track.
And how fast is that engine pulling Davey Allison? Oh, look at this. Dale Earnhardt coming on pit road there, and that's going to be a major story. Earnhardt probably making the stop in order to change the setup on the car, going for a different set of tires. Remember, he had the stagger problem that his crew chief and car owner, Richard Childress, alluded to, and as we watch them come in, they will definitely be going to work on that. Let's go down trackside to Bob Barshug.
Here's Richard Childress taking a look underneath the race car. Kurt Shelberdine and the crew working on the right side. Those are the tires they'll change first, and they're only going to send him out with 2 tires. Evidently, they feel like 2 were all they needed to conquer that stagger problem.
Let's pick up that story now in terms of the leader in Davey Allison, how fast he's getting around this racetrack as we watch Earnhardt stomp back into contention. Last lap on the Timex speed track, we had Davey at 24:14. We programmed this with a new track length, that being 3/4 of a mile, and that tells us he's running 111.85. Dale Earnhardt still has the fastest lap of the race. That was a 23:48 early on, and that works out to just a tick of the watch under 115 miles an hour. So the race pace has fallen, and Earnhardt is in contention to get his crew all new Timex speed track computers if that fastest lap of the race holds up. Right now, the story is definitely Davey Allison leading the Richmond 400. It's live on TBS Sports, and we'll be back with more right after this timeout.
Here's Jerry Garrett.
A routine stop down here. 2 right side tires. Again, 2 tanks of gas. Davey Allison back out in less than 15 seconds. Bill Elliott was in here just a few minutes ago, and before him, Alan Kwiccki. They all took on right side tires. No other problems. We expect to see all the rest of the leaders. Terry Labonte in here real soon.
15-second stop. He's just getting to speed, and he's almost being overlapped by the leader, number 26, Ricky Rudd. Rudd is now pitting, and that gives a little bit of breathing room to Allison as all the leaders are now coming on pit road. Terry Labonte's number 11 has yet to pit, and Darrell Waltrip's number 17. Here's 26. Briefly held the lead for a lap. Ricky Rudd on pit road. Like a routine stop. Ooh, we're halfway down. That began to take a little time toward the end on car number 26.
Those pit stops will kill you. I tell you, it's that's where 3 or 4 seconds can be gained in a pit stop, and boy, it translates on the racetrack in hundreds of yards.
17.5 in there on car number 26. Here's number 11, Terry Labonte, ready to pit. Does not come in, stays out. Waltrip's number 17, or rather Michael Waltrip, and now his brother is also in. So the Waltrip combination. Right behind Darrell is Michael on pit road. Michael had a pretty good start, and here come both of them out at the same time. The 24-year-old in car number 30. They're the ones that did some unique engine work last night. And Terry Labonte in number 11, who had been third, moved up to second, and on these pit stops in the lead, leads for a lap, and brings the Junior Johnson Chevrolet down on the pit road. Chevy's won the last 4 times out here in this event at Richmond. Here's the pit stop on the Junior Johnson team.
It's another first-class pit crew. These people always, day in and day out, do a first-class job. What those times?
At Richmond International Raceway.
4-tire stop. We're going 4 tires where the other people went 2 tires.
Lap down. And away. 17, Waltrip is pitted. Greg Saxon, 88, was the only question mark as to whether or not he's come in. We'll have all the leaders having completed their pit stop.
You know, this thing's gone green so long, that's a gamble. When you change 4 like that, did you think, hey, it is going to stay green in long run, my 4 tires will give me enough rubber to run every one down, make my laps back, and have an advantage?
Well, there you see Sachs. He should be coming in and is coming in right now. That completes all of the drivers on the top of the board as the number 88 wheels on to pit road, the Buddy Baker car. He's watching today. Hope you're feeling better, buddy.
Buddy's feeling real good. He's got him a funny haircut. When I saw him, he was wearing a ball cap. He never wore a ball cap because Buddy Baker has beautiful hair, and now he's wearing a ball cap after his surgeries. But his hair is growing back, so don't worry, ladies. He'll be pretty again.
Davey Allison, number 28, shakes out as the leader after all of these pit stops as he continues to dominate here at the present time. That Ford of Davey Allison really showing what it has to offer. The engine man, Robert Yates, who you heard just a few moments ago here in our live coverage, hasn't missed a beat yet. And Davey is just floating this car on the racetrack anywhere he wants it, bottom or the top. It looks a great deal like an Earnhardt performance.
Yeah,
it's really working.
He is so dominant. He came out right in front of Phil Parsons a few minutes ago, and he has like a 4-second lead on him now, and the car is just working perfect. And he only changed 2 tires, so that usually changes the stagger a little bit. You have a problem with the way it drives, but boy, he's just driving like there's nothing wrong. You see the car just bites and goes right on.
Ricky Rudd is second, Alan Kwiccki third, Dale Earnhardt fourth, Mark Martin fifth, Bill Elliott sixth. In seventh is Terry Labonte. In the 8th spot is Darrell Waltrip at this time. There have been 10 lead changes among 6 drivers thus far. 210 laps have now been completed. We're getting ready for our Goodyear mid-race report. That's coming up very shortly for you today. You know, when I see the 53,000 people here enjoying the race today, I remember back to the stories they used to tell about when they ran sprint cars here. I never saw them, but I know that Ted Horn won here 2 or 3 times. And one time, promoter Sam Nunes came in. There's a few things left to be done here this week. They've still got a few things to trim up and fix up, and they'll have them ready for next February for sure. They ran a race here one time, and they sold a lot of seats, and they didn't get the grandstand done. And in the morning when the race fans got here, old Sam was down here still selling tickets, and people would come in. He'd say, oh, yes, you're in section 8, right over there on the right. And he'd hand them a plank. And he had these guys, and they nailed the planks down, and they sit on them. They carried their own planks up, and he had several guys just nailed. Didn't want to spend a lot of money on folks having to carry lumber when there was all that free labor that really wanted to see a race. That happened here in Richmond. It's Davey Allison in front, and we're trying to get an interval for you right now between first and second place. Tell you just how much of an advantage after this pit stop he has developed, and it's a pretty good size. It's better than a straightaway now, by which Davey leads the Ricky Rudd green and white colors out here this afternoon, shown as 8 8/10 of a second, by which Davey is back in front, seeking his 4th Winston Cup victory. Davey started back in 1979, won a limited sportsman race over in Birmingham. Dad had a little hand in that car. There's the 26 car that's running in the second position, Ricky Rudd. A caution, and he could become a real factor, but onto himself, Davey Allison, I don't think, is to be caught the way he's running right now. He's having a great afternoon. Davey's had, of course, 1 win this year at Michigan, had a 2nd at Daytona, and had a 3rd at Darlington. He would really like to square off and win this first race at the new Richmond 3/4 mile track.
Ken, while we have the racing spread out a little bit, I'd certainly like to say hello to Brad Doty. He had a terrible accident in a sprint car, and he's making progress. And
how is he coming?
Well, he's still having. He had paralyzed himself from the waist down, but there is some hope because his spine was not crushed. And there's a good chance that he'll be going to the Miami project, who's a specialist project in Miami, Florida, to take care of spinal cord injuries. But he's also a new father. This just happened about 2 weeks ago, but we just want to let him know that everybody in NASCAR is aware, and we're pulling for him. If there's anything that we can do, buddy, we're right there with you, Brad, so we're pulling for you.
Good news that he is somewhat on the mend.
Yes, everybody's getting a lot more optimistic. It takes a while, but we got a lot of hope.
Taking a little further back in the field now in this struggle, there you see the Mark Martin car, the number 6 machine. And with him back there, he has Dale Earnhardt just in front of him, and behind him is Terry Labonte in the 6th position. There you see Mark Martin is having a very good afternoon today. 3/4 mile track. You know the last time they ran a 3/4 mile track in NASCAR? 1956.
I tell you, I love the size of the track. You can see it perfect. It's like almost like looking at a large football stadium, but the way these seats ring the place, and it's a perfect view from every seat in the house. I mean, Paul Sawyer's built him a gorgeous racetrack, and there may be some other tracks look at this kind of option down the road.
That last race in 56 was over in Charlotte, North Carolina. Buck Baker won it back in 56. Last time they ran a 3/4 mile track. Everybody talks about the old track on Wilkinson Boulevard as the only 3/4 mile track, and that's not totally true. They ran in Mobile, Alabama on a 3/4 mile. Rebel Monday, Tim Clark, good guys like that one.
You're talking hero stuff.
Real stuff. Yes, indeed. But this is the first modern 3/4 mile.
See, there's modern. There's a computer. That's Jeff Bodine's wife, and she's working a computer that tells her everything that she needs to know, how many miles they've driven, how the gas is going. So NASCAR is hitting a new age. We have computers, but she's the only one that knows how to work it.
Well, let's take a look at our Goodyear race cap off our computers. There's not a scoreboard here today, so you're lucky to have an opportunity to catch up here a bit. On the mid-race recap, we have Davey Allison in first, Ricky Rudd in second, Alan Kwiccki third, Dale Earnhardt fourth, and Mark Martin is maintaining the 5th position now. That was at the midway of the race, with 200 of the 400 laps down. So, taking a look at some of the 1 through 5 in the standings. At the 6th position was Terry Labonte. Then in 7th was Neil Bonnet, Bill Elliott. Rounding out that group was Phil Parsons, then in the 10th position. A little further back, Kyle Petty was in 11th. Brett Bodine was 12th. Michael Waltrip holding the 13th position. Sterling Marlin followed a lap back, and so had Mike Alexander, 15th position. And rounding out the top 20, Dale Jarrett, 16th, followed by Benny Parsons, Bobby Hillen, Dave Marcus, and Ken Schrader rounded out the top. So the attrition thus far, and it's been fairly steep out here. Lake Speed crashing. He was involved with Richard Petty in a first lap incident. Rusty Wallace, a terrible incident here that eliminated his car. Right in that first lap, he got banged up, was able to put in only 20 laps before he had to retire. Harry Gant, bad crash, fire, he's okay. Rick Wilson is out with the engine gone, and Morgan Shepherd's car is retired. There you see the average speed at halfway is only 87 miles an hour, and the lead changes at halfway was 7 leaders, 10 lead changes, 4 cautions, and a lengthy spell under the caution flag, and 6 cars have retired. Here's Dave Despain.
With half the race still to be run, a lot of things can still happen, but the headline incident, I think, in this race is going to be the Wallace crash. He claims he was rear-ended by Jeff Bodine as they turned for the yellow flag. Rusty Wallace, in the thick of the point battle with Bill Elliott, knocked out of the race early. That's the one that people are going to remember. In terms of spectacular incidents, that one goes hands down to an amazing crash early on here. The 52 car of Jimmy Means, as they came out onto the backstretch, tapping another car. They got together. Means went sideways right in front of traffic. And then, as they say, it busted loose behind him. Watch Harry Gant, top of your picture, no place to go. And boom, big impact as he spins around and catches the front of Gant's car. It rips virtually the whole tail off the 52 Means machine. And then Harry Gant's car came skittering down onto the apron. The left front virtually ripped off the car. And the end of the day for the man who yesterday won the Grand National race here at Richmond. So it's been happy and sad for Harry Gant as the leader, number 28, Davey Allison, continues his work up front. That wraps up our Goodyear mid-race recap of the Richmond 400. At the moment, Allison is clearly in the driver's seat, but we've got an awful lot of action yet to come from this brand new facility. 53,000 folks looking on, and we'll be back with more of the excitement in a moment.
Working 234 laps of the 400 to be run here at Richmond in this $389,000 Winston Cup event. Davey Allison here in number 28 continues to lead, putting another lap on Mike Waltrip. And let's look at the interval between the number 28 car and the second place car, number 26, Ricky Rudd, right there. It sugars off to about 8 8/10 of a second between first and second, and back to third where car number 7 lies. There you see him just coming across the start-finish line. That's another 4 seconds back there as Davey Allison has them covered here at Richmond before 53,000 fans. Sold out grandstand, good crowd in the infield of this new 3/4 mile facility. And so far, it's Davey's day after Earnhardt fell back in the early going. Davey is within 4 3/10 of a second of Lappy Bill Elliott, and he also is about just a few car lengths away, about 20 car lengths away from Lappy Darrell Waltrip in the 8th position. Darrell in 17 coming by. The track has really nailed it a minute ago, John. It's a skating rink out there. You see them slithering and sliding and skittering up toward the wall on all vantage points. There isn't any place you can really get a bite now. And it's both high and low. They've run this track really in.
Well, it'll be a good shot to go back to one of those in-car cameras now, because we saw them early and how smooth and easy they were driving, and I think we'll see hands working a lot more in the turns now.
Bobby Hillin Jr. has just pitted car number 8, running in 20th position. Hillin is on pit road. But it's kind of crazy watching cars come out of turn 4, and about every third car, you see them having to grab a handful of steering wheel and try to straighten them up. Meanwhile, Davey Allison, here comes Bobby Hillin back on the racetrack. Davey Allison, 28, is closing on car number 17, Waltrip. There's Waltrip in the 17, and there you see Mike Alexander in the 12 car. Mike is running 14th and is a lap down now. In the Bobby Allison, number 12, Mike Alexander, who takes over to run that car next year. A little 3-wide racing out of turn 4 in this new track, as Davey Allison tries to put a lap on Waltrip, the 8th place driver in the event.
When you watch Darrell Waltrip, he'll use Mike Alexander, the number 12 car, like a master to try to block Davey. And now Darrell is running up on the slower car, Jimmy Means, and I'm sure Davey will get by now. Nope, Darrell jerked up there, so he's still in a perfect blocking situation. That's just closing the door on him and hoping that a caution will come. And this is where, you know, you're a smart race car driver and try to hold him there and try to get a caution.
2:38 complete. 10 lead changes among 7 drivers thus far, and trying to go to the eye of the needle.
Yeah, he just takes 3 laps, no problem.
Right up the middle, Davey Allison. It's going to take some learning still to get this track down. Conditions changing every lap anyway out here. Lose off some weight, fuel, tires change. Davey driving that, controls up. He has Waltrip now on the inside of 17. And Davey Allison. Car hasn't been competing all day, has it?
No, and this is where he runs the risk of forcing the issue a little too much, heating those tires up and getting pushed up a little too high out of the groove and spinning it around. And that's where you have to watch these KGO veterans. They'll use that racetrack up on you, but Davey looks like he's got him cleared this time.
Davey Allison coming by, and he is now put a lap on everyone except 7th place Bill Elliott, 6th place Mark Martin, 5th place Dale Earnhardt, 4th place Terry Labonte, 3rd Alan Kwiccki, and 2nd Ricky Rudd. And he maintains a very steady hand, even pace. He leads here at Richmond, Virginia. 243 laps complete. Also sticks on the bottom of the racetrack. Story of these Fords. Yeah, we mentioned a little while ago, everyone was discounting this business about the mid-range power, the John Hayes theory of mid-range power of the Ford cars, but it seems to be making up pretty well here today.
Well, I think it's absolutely true, because all my General Motors experts told me that, and all my Ford experts said that's absolutely a bunch of junk. So I would assume it's probably a coin flip, but it made a good story anyway. But the Fords do really pull good off the corners. If you remember the great days of Bill Elliott, he would always beat you in the turns. It always had good straightaway speed or equal straightaway speed, but he would always beat you in the turns. Bill Elliott's loving this, that they're running door to door, because he is pulling away. It's going to help him from keep him from getting lapped, he's hoping. But see, now here's Darrell running under a slower car, Benny Parsons. Well, let's go 3 wide again. One thing Davey's not is playing it conservative. He's had all this he's going to take, and just going to force him, try to find him a slow car.
Bill Parsons pitting once again. Meanwhile, down on pit road, Bob Varsha has this report.
Well, Ken Schrader just came through for a 4-tire pit stop and had fuel added to the race car. And one of the interesting things about when they come through here is watching the gas man. In the case of Kenny Schrader, that man is Henry Benfield, who you may be able to see climbing over the wall right now. Notice the uniform he's wearing. Benfield's considered the best at his job, manhandling those big 22-gallon dump cans, the most dangerous job in a pit stop. A year ago, Henry saw a fire at Talladega, Alabama in a pit, and he decided that something needed to be done. So he found himself a flame-retardant driver's suit and gloves and hat that he wears during Ken Schrader's pit stop. He also talked it up with his fellow gas man up and down pit road. So throughout Winston Cup racing, you'll see the gas men wearing flame-retardant uniforms, not because the rules say they have to, but because they want to.
Henry spent years with Junior Johnson, and when he invented that suit, he had got a little too tight, and the first time or second time he wore it, he split the seat all the way out and had to spend the day like that. Henry's kind of a mild-mannered person, and he hasn't got over that embarrassment yet.
Well, but Henry was sort of proud of it. You know, he got to visit. He got a whole lot of attention. Bill Parsons has been on pit road now for 4 or 5 laps. They're under the hood of his car, so he must have an engine problem.
So you race fans, here is a rundown, a complete rundown of who's on the field here. You see Kyle Petty in 9th, and Phil then being shown in 10th some 4 or 5 laps ago. They put it together for you to give you an idea about where some of your favorites are that might not be up here in the top 10 today. Neil Bonnet's still out here. Remember, he won the last race on the half mile in that very dramatic finish we had the last time out. Average speed for this event is we're up to 253 laps complete. It's really come down with those long caution periods, and the track really getting slippery. They've greased her up real good. Alan Kwiccki in the 7 car is in the 3rd spot. There you see him, and coming up on him is the 4th place man, number 11. That's Terry Labonte. Terry Labonte, who won a short track race at North Wilkesboro earlier this season. That's not fair to say when you say short track. Short track's a 1/4 mile, 1/3 mile. North Wilkesboro is 5/8 and a darn good one.
I had a long talk with Alan Kwiccki, and he's always been a great qualifier and run great at certain tracks. And he said that the rap against him a lot of times is he'll qualify good, run good early, and drop back. And he said he hopes to overcome that. He said a lot of it's inexperience setting the car up because he is his own crew chief and making the changes. But he lately is getting better, better, and better, and he's running a very strong 3rd here today.
Indeed he is. Only people in front of him, Davey Allison on the point and Ricky Rudd in 2nd. Terry Labonte right behind him in 4th. Benny Parsons has just pitted again. He sure makes it look easy out there, and you know he has it right on the edge, and he's skating that car. Notice how he uses that steering wheel. Doesn't clutch or grab, no white knuckles on him. Just floats it in there.
The other thing I'm noticing is it's using the left leg there for the brake, Ken. He does, even though this is much more like a super speedway than it used to be, you still have to brake into the corners. And notice that he's doing that with his left foot. He keeps the engine RPMs up with the right, uses the left foot to brake. The other thing I noticed about Kwiccki is, even though it's not white knuckles, he is having to saw that wheel a good deal more than he was early on, and that is attributable to the slippery conditions that we're seeing here. But the left leg is a real nice shot there as you see him using the brakes to get into the corners.
And he said they would use a fair amount of brake here today, that particularly in turn 3, you'd use brake. That's that sprint car style where you can't get your feet across that Kenny Schrader is so smooth about. He uses the brake about as well as anyone these days in Winston Cup racing. And here you see Kwiccki there again, just gently giving it a double tap and getting himself in there.
That's really neat. David Spain is sharp because I've been watching this sport forever. Of course, I've not had the benefit of an in-car camera, but I've heard him always talk about left foot breakers, and now I understand what they're talking about. And that's Dale Earnhardt's great secret to driving a car real loose and hard. He taps the brake and keeps the accelerator down. I never understood that, and that's clear how they're doing it now.
Leave the pedal mashed and use that brake just to turn it loose and cut it into corners.
Exactly.
Old sprint car and old midget style. A lot of folks in the Midwest.
Johnny, I appreciate your first capacity in noticing my astuteness in picking that out, but I have to give the credit to Ricky Rudd, because it was Rudd who told me that not so much on the oval tracks, but on the road races, they've really taken a lot of the excitement out of it for him, because they use those Jericho transmissions now. They're self-shifting. You don't have to use the clutch anymore. He says these good old boys all know how to run down there and stomp on the brake with their left foot. When I'd get them on the road race courses, I could whip them because I knew how to heel and toe brake. You tar heels like Johnny don't even know what heel and toe braking is, and now Ricky says nobody has to use the clutch anymore on the road race tracks, and it's a big disadvantage for me because I'm a good road racer.
Well, yeah, plus he's a flat Yankee. Heel and toe is a beach dance in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, called the shag, and you get a lot more dates shagging at Myrtle Beach than you do heeling and towing at a racetrack. That's all I can say about that.
Heeling and towing is what we're not seeing on car number 7, is he uses the left foot and the right foot there and planks them firmly up into turn number 1 with car number 11, Terry Labonte, gaining some ground, and look who else is in the picture. Car number 3, Dale Earnhardt, running in 5th place, is right back up in here again and is making a good run under Labonte as he tries to move up through. He's on the bottom of the racetrack, getting up on Eddie Bierschwill's number 23. As they come by, go into turn number 1, 261 laps complete. There's Earnhardt under the Labonte number 11, and that will pick him up fourth. Tries to close in on Kwiccki. Boy, Earnhardt is really beginning to look good again after having a so-so middle range of the race effort. He is coming back now. Here he is under Kwiccki. 4 cautions in the first 90 laps, no cautions in the last 165. Back straight away. Earnhardt beginning to show a little muscle here.
Earnhardt's situation is common to most of the field, and that is that they, number 1, lost a lot of practice to rain here. They didn't get much time on this new racetrack when they really needed it, and then they quickly figured out that the Hoosier tires were so much faster that they devoted a lot of what practice time they did get and all of their qualifying to Hoosiers. They haven't had an opportunity to run the Goodyears a whole lot and figure out exactly what they're going to be like. Earnhardt just got a bad set of tires. Bad, it's not in the sense of tire quality, but a mismatch, a problem with what they call stagger. The size of the tires just didn't work right and get the car around the racetrack. Now he's got a good set, and he's moving back to the front. And I think the key point to remember is that Earnhardt is racing Bill Elliott. He wants to win. He always wants to win, but he's racing Bill Elliott because with Wallace on the sidelines, those are the 2 men who now move into the championship spotlight, and Earnhardt has Elliott down for the moment. He can't take the lead if Bill finishes the race here today anywhere in the top 20, but he can certainly take a big bite out of the lead currently enjoyed by this man. Elliott had just 9 points coming in here. Wallace got crashed out of the race. So for the moment, at least, it looks like Elliott versus Earnhardt for the title, with Earnhardt at the moment in the driver's seat.
Elliott in number 9 is running in 7th place. There you see Earnhardt, who is now running in 3rd place. They are all running in the lead lap, but Davey Allison is within 1 8/10 of a second of lapping car number 9, Bill Elliott, the 7th place campaigner. Allison 1st, Rudd 2nd, Earnhardt now 3rd, Kwiccki 4th, Labonte 5th, Mark Martin 6th, Elliott 7th, Darrell Waltrip a lap down in 8th, Kyle Petty in 9th, and Greg Saxton 10th, with 11th Brett Bodine, 12th Michael Waltrip, 13th Neil Bonnet, 14th Sterling Marlin, 15th Dale Jarrett, 16th Dave Marcus, 17th currently Rodney Combs, and 18th Mike Alexander. Bobby Hillenbach in 19th, and Benny Parsons in the Don Levy car is in 20th. That's the deployment, and here you see the number 9, and now you see Davey Allison closing in the back straightaway on the number 9. Let's go to Jerry Garrett, who is standing by on the Phil Parsons story.
Phil's been running in the top 10 here until just recently. He came in for a pit stop. And Phil, what happened out there to bring you into the pit?
What'd you say? I really don't know. The air cleaner came off or the ignition went bad. I really don't know what it was.
Well, they're trying everything they can to get it started down here. It acts like it's flooded, but it just won't kick.
Phil Parsons, who had high hopes for today, now sits behind the walls. They continue to work on car number 55, the Crown Petroleum car. We'll be back with more with 270 laps now complete at the Richmond Fairgrounds after these words.
With coverage of the Richmond 400 on CBS Sports, and one of the things I love about covering these races on television is that these guys are all finally getting rich for doing what they deserve to get rich for. When they first came here 40 years ago, paid about $150 to win at Richmond. Consider that Dale Earnhardt is our true value hard charger leader in the race thus far. That'll pay $1,500 if he can hold off Davey Allison, who's closing up that gap every lap. And there's 50 grand on the line for the guy who wins that award at the end of the year. Come with me, we'll give away some more stuff. We have also our Mac Tools behind the scenes award. It's just not the drivers who get rich, but it's also the crews. That's a pretty high paying gig right now. We nominated Earnhardt's crew early for the great job they did in picking the right tire combination to get him from the back of the pack up to the front. I think we should add Davey Allison's crew to the list, and I want to do this just a little bit differently. I think there is one reason that Davey Allison is running so fast here today, and that's the old man back in the rehab center back in Birmingham. I think Bobby Allison is the fire that is driving Davey today. When Bobby gets out of rehab, first thing he's going to want to do is go work on his airplane. He's in the running for a brand new set of Mac Tools to do that. Ken?
Very much so. This Davey Allison run right now, as you look from the number 6 car up at number 11, has carried car number 28, Davey Allison, right up under Bill Elliott. He's about to put him a lap down. Look at this contest in the back straightaway. This is for a lap. Davey Allison has Elliott on the outside, and the car number 28. Allison stretching for $1 million if he can win this one today.
Dale Earnhardt just came down pit road to get some new tires.
There he is in car number 3. Will this carry him all the way?
They're going all the way around for 4 tires, so he's probably going to lose a couple laps here.
He was running in 8th, and here's Davey Allison on the bottom of the racetrack underneath to number 9. Let's go to Bob Barton.
Well, Ken, those were Goodyear tires that went on to Earnhardt's car. We still have lots of laps still to run here, and as I mentioned earlier, all of the teams up and down the road have a set of Hoosier tires waiting by the pit wall for that last pit stop. They know that the Hoosiers are a little bit quicker than the Goodyears, and wouldn't it be ironic if a Goodyear set of tires are carrying a car all the way to victory lane, but the last few laps are run on Hoosiers, and they get the pop of champagne.
That would be wild.
Wouldn't that be wild?
Well, the Hoosiers would run for probably 40 to 50 laps and maintain that kind of advantage. But again, it's rolling the dice. But as a racetrack gets slicker like this, it lets the heat not build up in the Hoosier tire as bad as it does when we started out. So what I'm saying is a Hoosier may not be a bad call with 50 laps to go or so.
Here's Phil Parsons back out of the Crown Petroleum car, back on the track after a lengthy time in the pits, trying to score some points with car number 55. Phil Parsons back once again. He has never had good luck here in Richmond. This has not been his favorite track.
No, but look at how smooth the racetrack. Now, Phil's down, and he's waving to people to go on by because he knows he's really out of the contest, and his quicker cars come up. But see, now he jerks a little bit right there, coming off of turn 4. But see, he just barely moves his hand. And Phil told me this is the smoothest racetrack he's ever been on in his life. It's so smooth, it's a little scary.
That was the report from all the drivers. They were amazed at how much the surface worked for them, with about 4 inches of sub-base, and they laid in 2 inches, an inch and a half on top of that, and it really has come together into a great blend of asphalt to make a very, very good track, and I don't think the frost is going to get there. They have some cold weather up here in Richmond that has eaten up the old track and had a lot of heaves in it.
You can see in the car there's a piece of material off the window net that's blowing across his face. See him pick it up now and move it. Phil, you heard me. Okay, you can see it blowing, it's bothering him, and it's hitting his face as the air comes in the car, but it's part of the window net that's broken loose. Phil Parsons is now 39 laps behind, and these are all important because Phil's hung right in that battle. I think he's 9th in the point standing now, and very close to Darrell Waltrip and Jeff Bodine in that group, and Davey Allison's right behind him in the point standing, so this is critical. He gets as many points as he can.
Davey Allison is making a tremendous run, not only in this race, but as well through the standings as we get down to the last 8 races on the Winston Cup schedule for this season. He has really been coming alive, and this car today, if it can carry him to victory, could make a dramatic change in the standings in his favor.
Well, I talked to Davey, and he's tickled to death, and he's committed to stay next year, and Haviland is committed to sponsor him next year with Mr. Ranier owning the car, and that great team is going to continue to get better and continue to exist. So I think we're going to see that number 28 Haviland car out there in front for a long time.
An extra cut there to get through that corner. He may be a little loose on rubber right now. So Davey Allison is in front. Ricky Rudd is in second. Alan Kwiccki maintains the third position here at Richmond with 289 laps complete. Been Rotting in seventh, just elected to come in. He stays in 15 and 3/10 seconds and is back underway in car number 9. Now being shown a lap down and may go another lap down here as he comes back to speed. Jeff Bodine has come in another time. He is several laps down to the leaders. Davey Allison continues to lead. Ricky Rudd in second. Kwiccki in third. Terry Labonte in fourth. Mark Martin, the fifth place car, is also pitting right now. 5 cars in the lead lap, and Martin puts the binders on hard as he brings the Stroh-Light car right here by the garage entrance in for right side rubber. Pit time clicking off on Mark Martin. Car number 6, youngest champion of the American Speed Association, is 19 years of age 2 years back. 14.7. And there you see him coming back down pit road and into the turn 1 area. Mark Martin having an excellent ride here this afternoon. And there's the leader, number 28, Davey Allison, skirting around, putting him in the lap back.
Can you see there how important it is to clean the windshield good? The camera shows right over the driver's side. They got him pretty good on the right side. But that's a good shot at how important it is to get that windshield clean.
Alan Kwiccki just pitting the third place car, number 7, now on pit road. Here's Bob Barsham. Bob?
Down in Davey Allison's pit, his crew just went scrambling for a new set of Goodyear tires. They had one set sitting by the wall, but suddenly 5 guys ran over to grab another set. I think they were afraid of a mismatch, and there may be a problem for Davey out there. We may need that new set of tires soon. We'll keep you posted.
Alan Kwiccki still, and I think they went all the way around, 27.5 seconds. And then he comes back out as they made a 4-tire change. Davey Allison staying out, and Ricky Rudd has yet to pit.
Now, you remember Terry Labonte took 4 tires earlier, and he's in 4th place in the lead lap and is moving up. So that 4-tire change turned out to be a smart move for Terry Labonte.
302 laps complete. 302 of 400 complete here at Richmond today. The next event on the schedule, as Ricky Rudd stays on the track and runs down close to the wall. We thought Ramon might dodge in there. A pretty good lick to be had. Next event coming up September 11th, the Winston Cup Series, or rather the 18th, is at Dover, Delaware. Dover, Delaware is the next event, and then it's on to Martinsville, Virginia, and they'll be there on the 25th. October 2nd, North Wilkesboro, and October 9th. Next major super speedway event at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Humpy Wheeler wanting all you folks to come down, and Turner Broadcasting will be presenting the 600 at Charlotte next Memorial Weekend. Greatest facility super speedway in the country today. And that's where you can get tickets if you're interested, if you want to call up.
Yes, we call Humpy Wheeler in the business. We call him Humpton Wheeler. That's a
How did he ever get that name? You're his best friend. How would anybody end up with a name like Humpy?
Well, Humpy got that name from his father's name was Humpy Wheeler, and Humpy didn't have his own identity, so they would just took his daddy's name and started calling him Humpy.
Well, here's Davey Allison making a name for himself today here at the Richmond Fairgrounds, a track where his father was one of the dominant forces for many, many years. Those great, classic, wonderful wars with Richard Petty. And Davey isn't letting anyone get near him. He has drawn away to like 9 seconds over second place Ricky Rudd.
You know what's scary about this with Davey Allison and all his crew members? They're saying, this is too easy. Now's the time you start thinking, what's going to go wrong? They're getting ready to bring him in the pit shortly, but these are routine pit stops. Everyone's coming in now, so everything should shake out the same. But this is when it starts driving everybody crazy because we're this close. Just please stay together. Don't make any mistakes.
1987 Rookie of the Year, winner of 2 events. Here you see him, number 28. Down the back straightaway and has a pretty good head of steam. Doesn't look like he's going to come in this time about. Davey Allison ready to overlap Mike Waltrip another time. Just another lap on the Martin number 6 car. Actually, Martin's pulled up on him. He has lapped Martin, and I think that the tires are far enough down so that number 6, Martin, is back up in the hunt again. Here's Martin right behind Davey Allison in the back straightaway.
Yeah, he's about to come on to just a big wad of cars. If he's going to pit, he might as well pit now because he's not getting through that group. Yeah.
Now, and
I can't believe how smart I am.
Let's go to Bob Marshall.
The pit of number 28, Davey Allison, comes alive as their man comes flying down pit road. Quickly, they deploy out on the street. He locks up the front brake and pulls to a stop. A wet rag goes inside. Davey Allison pops it inside his mouth, a la Richard Petty. Meanwhile, Robert Yates and the crew start working on the car. They're cranking a little wedge on the right side. They want it to lean a little more heavily on the left front tire. They've got 2 tires on, and away he goes.
Rudd takes the lead.
That was a big stop, but I think if you run that back, you'll see as he spun away, the tire changer's hands went all the way around. He was popping lugs on it that went all the way around. It'd be interesting to run that back because he about jerked the man's hand sideways. He left early.
Ricky Rudd has first. Terry Labonte does get second. Davey Allison to third in that series. Ricky Rudd, there you see him, number 26, now has the lead. He may come in. No, elects not. Stays out another lap. Usually run, what, 10, 15 laps? 8 laps more than we've seen Allison come in the last.
They're signaling 2 laps to go.
Yep. So we're staying with car number 26, Ricky Rudd, the current leader here at Richmond. Let's take a look at that replay of that pit stop that John was pointing out. Hot. Here's your leader coming in. There's that stop.
Look at the rear tire changer's hand. See that wheel spin? And he just had to jerk it right back. Davey said, tighten them, baby. I've got to go.
Did he run over that jack? Here's the number 26 on pit road. Leader is in.
Yeah, we can run her back and look. I didn't see it closely. I wasn't watching that. It just shocked me. I saw the man's hands turn because he was definitely on the lug.
Ricky Rudd into the pits, and I thought he ran over the jack.
I didn't even look at that part.
Car number 26. Here's number 11 in, so all 3 of those leaders have been in, and I would think we'd have Davey Allison. Take a look at that again, John.
Okay, yeah, but the rule on that is as long as the jack man is making an effort to pull it back, which he had tried to pull back, that is perfectly okay, so that is a legal move.
So car number 28 stays out there, and there's no consultation flag coming up. What looks like a
but
50-50 moment.
Well, but the call is if you're making a genuine effort to try to get back and do the things, then hey, because anything can go wrong, and
that he was doing.
He was, and that's a total legal move.
So Davey Allison stays in front on a hairline call. Number 26, Ricky Rudd in second, Terry Labonte in third. And there you see from the car number 6, Mark Martin in 7th place, the Davey Allison car up there in the lead. Mark a lap down to car number 28, Allison, seeking his 2nd win of the season. And this would be his first here at Richmond.
Darrell Waltrip's coming down pit road. He's showing little battle scars on the side of his car. He's coming in for a big stop.
Go inside the Bill Parsons car, 55. He is to go on through the day here.
Bill's still out there. Can't believe that it's happened to him again, you know, but all you can do is stay out there and battle and run them all and hope that you have a decent finish.
There's been snake bit in this track. Let's check on Alan Kwiccki for a moment here. Alan Kwiccki back to 9th, and there's the 3rd of our cars, training car cameras today. Here's Alan, who's fallen a lap back after a good, steady run most of the way here today.
I love to watch that left foot on the braking thing. That's really interesting because we don't see it on the other drivers quite as clearly.
See how Phil does that number.
Oh, I see his left leg move in. Yeah, he does the same thing. He's doing it more with his toe in his black uniform. It's hard to see. I'm going to learn how to drive a race car. I might try to run Richmond next year.
Yeah. Probably pay a lot of extra money to do that. Here's Davey Allison's lead now being shown. First and second is... Oh, we get the interval right here. We'll get it for you. Davey Allison in this Grenier car. Robert Yates prepared. Saw Robert earlier here today. Checking that first and second spot. It's still a healthy advantage for Davey. 140 pounds, and he still makes it look like he's a heavyweight out here. 17 seconds now between first and second. It's time for a Goodyear Racing update. Other events going on in the world of motorsports today. And let's check in with Bobber at 25. Phil Parsons down in turn one, spun, backed up into the wall. You're seeing him live now. He's just driven around the track. He is into the pits, and they're working on the car as he gets a drink. Let's take a look and replay at what happened down here. Car 55, the Crown Petroleum car.
Looks like it's smoking before it ever started to turn. I couldn't tell if...
he cut a line?
It looked like it was smoking before it ever... He just touched it gently. He just slid it around and stopped. But it looked like the car was smoking prior to even spinning out.
Let's go inside the car. We've gone from lap 99 to 325. Here is Phil Parsons from the in-car cameras. We watch him here.
It's a great shot. He cut the motor off. See the smoke come in the car?
Yep. He knew he had a problem.
And that's probably from the problem that he had earlier with the motor when they'd been under the hood, and they've gone back under, and he's sitting there saying, I'm going to have me a nice cold drink and try to figure out how to get this thing next year.
Well, it has not been a track that has been particularly favorable to the efforts of Phil Parsons. His best finishes have never put in the top 15 here. It just keeps on nabbing him. Today is another example thereof. Let's go to Dave Despain at the STP Pit Center.
Timex Speed Track computer following Davey Allison in what looks like a runaway victory here today, although this yellow flag will bunch things up. Last time we checked on Davey, he ran a 24.14, 111.85 miles an hour. Came in, made the pit stop, went right back out, 24.27, 24.12, a difference of 200 of a second, a difference of 9/100ths of a mile an hour. You call that consistency. Still not as fast, though, as Dale Earnhardt's quickest lap of the race. That was a 23.48 back very early in the running before the track conditions began to change. So, as it stands now, Earnhardt's crew is in the running for a set of these Timex Speed Track computers. And right in here, we're going to see the Earnhardt effort launched in third spot when they restart this race. We've got Davey Allison sitting on the point with Ricky Rudd, now the challenger, when we go back to the restart. Ken?
And we're not going to see any fast laps anymore with this track as slicked up as it is, David, that's for sure. That Earnhardt mark will stand, I'm sure, for this race. What a surprise over there in Italy today. Well, not a surprise, Italian Grand Prix, but Michele Alboreto finally stopped the McLaren train this year. You follow a lot of Formula One, don't you, John?
Yeah. What was that guy's name?
Michele Alboreto.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they have a great restaurant in Belmont, North Carolina, where I was originally from. It was called Alvareto's Pizza.
Car number 28, Davey Allison, is staying in front. We're into this caution period. We went from lap 99 to 325 without a caution. And then the Phil Parsons incident in turn one has put the field back together. We're now showing 328 people as they get ready for a go. The second place car is Dale Earnhardt. The third place car will be Ricky Rudd. The fourth place car is Terry Labonte. The fifth place car is Mark Martin. And sixth will be Bill Elliott. And they are showing those six in the lead lap as we get back ready to go after this caution period. One lap, and they will be racing. 3:30 now being shown complete. 14 lead changes among 7 drivers. We've just gone through our 5th caution period of the day here in Richmond, Virginia, with 53,000 strong. Sold out new track.
Kyle Petty's had a good run today. He's in 8th place, and Johnny Hayes is going to give you some real inside scoop on the #1 free agent in NASCAR racing. Everybody wants Kyle. I don't know if it's for his driving ability or because he's Richard's son or he's a great opening act for Hank Williams Jr. I am not sure about this, but it appears to me that he's probably going to end up in a 4th Rick Hendricks team, run 15 races next year, then go to 30 races. I'm not official on that, but don't be surprised if you don't see this young stud running for Rick.
Who's going to drive the 21?
We don't know yet. That's still a big question. That's where these other free agencies are going to have to play. They have talked to Sterling Marlin. I do know that.
All right, coming down for a start. And on the break, Davey Allison. There's two cars directly in front of Davey Allison. They are on the tail end of the lead lap as you see them going into turn number 1. One is the 6 car and the other's the 9. They are in the tail end of that lead lap. Bill Elliott and Mark Martin trying to stay away. And from Alan Kwiccki's in-car camera, number 7, who was just one lap down, watch what happens here.
This is exactly where Davey's had such a great day. You get caught in a mess because you're looking right there and just a bunch of stuff. Mark Martin's in front of him, Sterling Marlin, Bill Elliott's got his lap back, Alan Kwiccki, then Davey, but right behind Davey is number 3, Dale Earnhardt, shooting up on his rear end. So this is one of those days that everything can go perfect for you, but then boom. So when that caution comes out, we don't have that many laps to go, and this is pedal to the metal stuff, and this is when we get aggressive. We always talk about being aggressive. We'll get aggressive.
Lap cars covering the leaders here. Car number 28, Davey Allison in front, Earnhardt in second. It's the Ford Chevy battle. There is the Kwiccki number 7 car, a lap down in 7th. On the tail end of the lead lap, Bill Elliott was 5th, Mark Martin in 6th when they came back down to the green at 3:31.
Rudd just jumped under Earnhardt, forced him up the lane. And Rudd is running good too. So this is a shootout, and I'm going to say that whoever got the best set of tires, but Davey just seems a little too strong for everybody still because they're not closing up on him.
Well, Ricky Rudd's Buick is right there, and there you see Earnhardt Chevrolet, the black car, back into 3rd position. Terry Labonte is in 4th. And there you see that 2-car length advantage, length and a half for, back to 1 as Rudd really closes in on Davey Allison. And here comes Dale Earnhardt scooting to the bottom of the track. Again, a lot of times these high lanes will be fast and keep the RPMs up, but on this first time out, if you can run in the bottom, that's the way to get around here.
Watch Earnhardt's car. It will not get off the 4th turn as good as the 2 cars in front of him. That's where he's losing time. He'll jump coming into this next turn, turn 3. He jumps right in closer, but they pull off from him here.
And here comes Rudd to the inside as this packed capacity house comes to its feet. Ricky Rudd going for it down to the bottom of the racetrack in the battle for the lead. It's Allison on the outside, Ricky Rudd on the inside. Rudd pressing. He's pulling up here. What a battle. Buick going low. Ford on the outside, and Allison drives away from him going into the corner. Coming out of 4, there is Davey Allison a little loose, and it is Ricky Rudd taking the lead.
Well, he got caught in an awkward position. He had to give him room in that higher lane, and it's just a little looser up there. He's going to have to work back to Rudd if he can. But Davey's car is not quite as strong as it was because he wasn't closing on Kwiccki like he was earlier. Kwiccki is maintaining a little bit of advantage on him. And see, Earnhardt has now worked back up into the group. We're going to have a real good shootout here at the end.
About 338 laps now complete. We look at the 3:30 rundown for you and a review of the field for you racing fans so you can keep track of all of your favorites. Meanwhile, Jerry Garrett has this report in the pits.
A lot of excitement down here in Ricky Rudd's pits, of course, since he just took the lead, but there's a lot of strategy going on here. Crew Chief Larry McReynolds and chassis experts Bob Riley just had a little powwow. Larry asked Bob, says, can we make a chassis change so we'll put it back in the Hoosiers? We have a pit stop here the last 2 laps to go, and you can see they got the Hoosiers up here against the wall. They also got a couple of Goodyears. If they have a green flag or a yellow flag pit stop here in the last 50 laps or less, they're going to go to the Hoosiers. If they stay out longer, if they have to stay out longer, the Goodyears are going to stay on the car.
Well, there's the story on one of the men contending to win it all today from Jerry Garrett as they're ready to do tire switching another time if necessary to pull out this $389,000 race. Looks like Davey may be falling back into the clutches here of car number 3, Earnhardt in 3rd, and don't forget that car number 11 is in 4th, Terry Labonte's car.
They're going under Bill Elliott to lap him again, so this is an important thing for Bill to try to stay up, but Bill's car is just not handling right now. Pushed up, and Rudd went by with ease.
Ricky Rudd maintaining first place with 342 laps complete and he's on the bottom of the racetrack, able to stick it in there like Richard Petty was able to do back in the early days of this track, when this track would get so slippery you couldn't stand on it. That was when about the time the Dale Inman crew had Richard right on the bottom of the racetrack and able to get around, and that's exactly what we're seeing out of car number 26 at this moment.
The birthday boy.
Bob Barsha, what about tires on Davey Allison's car as we get down to the finish today?
Well, Ken, we've already heard from Jerry Garrett that Ricky Rudd's crew has a pair of both Goodyears, or that is a set of both Goodyears and Hoosiers ready for this last tire change that they're going to need. Same thing going on in Davey Allison's pit. They've got a set of each kind of tire. They have the fuel in the race cars to go the remaining laps here at Richmond, but they're probably going to need to change tires. And when they do, it's going to be real interesting to see which brand goes on for the run to victory lane.
Ricky Rudd working on Winston Cup win number 10 after that tremendous victory over Rusty Wallace at Watkins Glen, New York on the road course earlier this year. And again, handling seems to be the story on this Buick of Kenny Bernstein.
The real story here is that Ricky Rudd, if he can win this race, it will guarantee him a position on next year's winner's circle. He's right now he's won one race, but he's just on the verge of not being there because he's back a little further in the points. Same thing with Davey Allison. That's why it's critical to win that second race, because you're automatically on the winner's circle if you win two.
So here is Ricky Rudd working very hard to get himself into the winner's circle. Worth how much?
Oh, $280,000 or so. It makes this race.
Oh, smoke out of Ricky Rudd's car. Ricky Rudd may have unhinged one here. He is still running a pretty good pace. Now he's slowing down as he goes into the back straightaway. There's Davey Allison pulling up. There's Earnhardt pulling up. And it is over. It is over for car number 26. The engine caves in on the Bernstein number 26. Oh, how unfortunate for Ricky Rudd and company. They gave it their very best shot. You saw Larry McReynolds on the radio. Let's take a look and see when it let go. No caution on the track. Across the start-finish line, this is right where you lift just for a second. And as he put his foot back down, going to the turn number 1 on the high side. Good night. Bill Elliott has just pitted. And Jerry Garrett is standing by, waiting the arrival of Ricky Rudd. Got to be despondent. There you see the Elliott car in another time. Not a good day for Elliott here. Oh, Rudd gave it such a tremendous run.
Yeah, that's a shame. Like I say, you know how important it was. We're talking big dollars, but running like that, he'll be okay.
Quick reminder for you Atlanta Braves fans, we'll be joining the Braves in progress right after the conclusion of the race today. To update you, it's the Padres 7 and the Braves zip as they work the top of the third inning, so they're not having a whole lot more luck today than Ricky Rudd is. Braves trailing the Padres 7-0, top of the third. Will join the game in progress right after the checkered flag here.
351 laps complete, down to the final 50 laps. A very sad crew after such a valiant effort today. Made it up, got out in front. All for naught. Engine goes away going into turn number 1. And this man, Davey Allison, is back in command once again. And he's having just a little trouble to handle right there at car number 28. It'll take a second set to get it off that corner.
Yeah, the car is getting a little looser, but he still has a commanding advantage right now. Earnhardt is caught back a little further, and Bill Elliott, who just pitted, is between the two of them. And then, of course, the 11 car, Terry Labonte's right on Earnhardt's heel.
And you see Ricky Rudd clambering out, and that's disappointment. It's Weifland. Let's go to Jerry Garrett.
We're down here trying to get a word with Ricky Rudd, and he's obviously very disappointed right now. Sure, that's
Quaker State Buick, you know, it run good all day, and we just sort of sitting there setting a pace and waiting for a caution. Finally, we got the caution, made a few adjustments to the car, and it looked like we had the race won, and something let go in the motor.
Got another smoker coming in. Eddie Bierswale has just come off the track. Smoke erupting out of that car, and there is no caution. Bierswale, of course, got into the wall a little early, and now I think his engine is unhinged. He took the left side of the car up to the wall early in the going. They pushed in there, checking for fire underneath. Quickly, you see there, as you watch these pictures live from the brand new Richmond 3/4-mile track, which is beginning to really take its toll. Now here's Davey Allison trying to put another lap on Bill Elliott in car number 9. Davey Allison leading, Dale Earnhardt in second, Terry Labonte in third as the laps begin to trickle away this afternoon. And for Ricky Rudd, it was just a little short.
To the Richmond 400, let's throw Mark Martin's name into the hat here and his team as nominees for our Mac Tools Behind the Scenes Award. He's currently running third. He finished second behind Bill Elliott on the short track at Bristol. And as you look from inside Mark's car, he's campaigning very nicely here in the Winston Cup Wars with that Jack Roush effort, all new to the Winston Cup battles. Those are road racers, but they're definitely showing their stuff on the short track. Only a matter of time till they win one. I think all they need is one more set of tools. They can get to victory lane. Throw Martin into the hat as another nominee for our Mac Tools Behind the Scenes Award.
Okay, we'll track that down to the finish, David, as we watch this battle for second place. Dale Earnhardt is there. Terry Labonte trucking on, trying to take it away from him. 363 laps of 400 run here today on this three-quarter-mile oval for $389,000. And at the present time, Davey Allison continues to run this race with an iron hand. If Earnhardt finishes where he is right now, second, and Elliott finishes in seventh, Elliott will finish the day leading the Winston Cup point standings by 117. And Rusty Wallace, who was out early, would fall to third. 2 points behind Earnhardt. That's if they drop the checkered flag at this moment. There's a lot of racing left to do here as we watch Dale Earnhardt in number 3. Off that corner and looking very strong here at the end of the race. Maintaining second spot. Labonte third. Mark Martin is in fourth. Alan Kwiccki is in fifth. And now in sixth, 1 lap down, is Kyle Petty. With seventh, Bill Elliott. Eighth, Darrell Waltrip, 2 laps down. Ninth is Neil Bonnet. 10th is Brett Bodine. 11th is Michael Waltrip. Going 12th is Dave Marcus. 13th is Greg Sachs. 14th, Sterling Marlin. 15th, Bobby Hillen. 16th is Dale Jarrett. 17th is Mike Alexander. And in the 18th position is showing Rodney Combs with the 19th, Kenny Schrader, 20th, Benny Parsons. That's at 367 laps, John.
Well, this has been a tough race. A lot of people had trouble. One thing I want to point out about this points thing, please don't think that the points race is over. We had counted Dale Earnhardt out because he is 100 and some points behind going into this race. Well, immediately, early, Rusty has a problem, falls from second right behind Elliott to third. Elliott, if he has a bad finish at any race and the other two have good finishes, you're right back together. I think he'll go right to the wire.
Well taken, John. Well, we'll pause for these messages and then be back as we zero in on the close here this afternoon at the Richmond Fairgrounds, where Davey Allison is trying to put Ford back in victory lane. Working on the event that his dad won back-to-back in 1970 and 80, and in 1981 was won by Ford with Benny Parsons at the keyboard for Bud Moore. Bud Moore won all 3 of those races, and it's been since 1981 without a Ford in victory lane. It may change here this afternoon as they click off 375 with 400 to be run. Allison in command of this event over Dale Earnhardt. There's another story out here today. Back a little further, here's the 11th place runner, Michael Waltrip. We want you to know that our coverage is everywhere. This was the scene last night at 1 a.m. for Michael Waltrip's car, number 30, in a nameless motel. You've heard of the old days where we used to build the engines back in the bathtub? Well, this was the scene last night at 1 o'clock. We certainly don't want to name the motel, or the Waltrip crew will never be allowed back, John. Putting their engine back together. They had a few problems. They just took it home with them, rolled it right into the room.
I love it, and I love Michael Waltrip and that crew. The thing I got to tell you about Michael Waltrip, I know all the mothers of these race car drivers, you know, they're concerned what they do with their free time. And Mrs. Waltrip, I do want you to know that Michael's been a good boy, but he went out and bought a brand new Harley Hog motorcycle for $12,000 last week.
All chrome. Let me tell you about that motorcycle. He took it to the Hickory Fair, got himself a nice-looking lady, had her on the back. He's looking really macho, he said. Went over and played some games, won a bunch of stuffed animals. Now he's pulling out of the fair late at night, this kid number 30. And as he started to pull out, 6'5", with a neat lady on the back, the fella came up and said, "Hey, excuse me, sir, one of your teddy bears is falling out of the saddlebag."
No.
He had two big teddy bears. He couldn't fight that.
My man Michael, he wants to be sort of Hell's Angels type look, but he came out with teddy bears. Well, he and Rick Wilson's wife needs to know, too. He bought a Harley, too. So They're in the Harley Hog Club now.
You're a big help.
I got to throw Mike Beam and that crew into the hat for the Mac Tools Award. I mean, anybody that will take the tools back to the motel room and work on the motor at 1 o'clock in the morning is definitely a behind-the-scenes candidate for my book. So let's put the period on that story.
David, that went on till about 3:45 this morning.
I'd say that's a winner for the Mac Tools. I'll pay for it.
Anybody want to contribute to the rug?
Yeah.
Davey Allison in front and looking mighty good here. His dad watching over in Birmingham this afternoon, and he must be proud. Judy Allison, Bobby Allison, who watched this young man cut his teeth in racing, brought him along, and what a magnificent race. As you sit at the top, he has said for the last couple of days, I'm ready for this one, and it's on TV, and I want it for Dad.
Yeah, and he's certainly doing it. It's just perfect. This is one of those makes a great movie kind of thing. If Hal Needham was here, he'd make a movie out of this story.
Well, he's had it rough with that car 33, which has crashed again today and is out. We'll review some of those that are out and some that are still running as we get down to our finish today here at Richmond. Getting set for the finish. Allison in front, trying to hold off Earnhardt and Labonte. Can he do it? We'll know soon.
The STP Pit Communication Center at Richmond International Raceway, where Davey Allison has just stopped my Timex Speed Track computer at 24:30, a lap at 111.11 miles per hour. We programmed in the 75/100ths or 75. Let me try that again. 3/4 of a mile track length, which is new here at Richmond, and that's the way the computer calculates the time to speed average. What that means is basically Davey has hit the cruise control, and he's out of here. Graves still trailing 7-zip in the 4th behind the Padres. Will join that game in progress live right after the end of the race. That looks like, Ken Squire, a Davey Allison field day.
By 2 6/10 of a second right now, David.
Well, Ken, I just got a new sports bulletin in for one of the top sports stations. Congratulations to Scott Hayes in Denver, North Carolina. The East Lincoln Mustangs are now 3-0, and they hadn't won 3 games in the last 2 years. Way to go, boys! That's my son, and I don't ever get to see him play, and if I don't say that, his mother's going to be mad. So, Ann, I'm on the deal.
I don't believe it.
Hey, it's my son.
I see.
I'm a father.
I see. Well, Bobby Allison's a father, and his kid right now is about to win over $1 million in his racing career if he pulls out. Let's see your kid do what Bobby Allison's
Bobby's
doing
baby
here
boys
today.
do a little better than mine, but mine's not a professional athlete. He doesn't want to lose his amateur standing.
I see. Dale Earnhardt is just about 2 4/10 of a second back now. Terry Labonte is in 3rd. Mark Martin is in 4th. And Alan Kwiccki stands 5th as we get down to the finish here this afternoon at Richmond. Commander running it out. 391 are complete. We're into those last few laps at the Richmond Fairgrounds, and nobody's left. It's a packed house. They say they're going to add another 10,000 seats before we get back here. This is now the largest sports facility in the state of Virginia, bigger than any of the football stadiums. And we're having a tremendous crowd in a house that's been sold out for a month to see this first race. And what a reckoning for Davey Allison. There'll be a tremendous ovation for him here. 392 now complete as he comes back to the line. Call it 393.
Well, we had a shaky start, but I'm going to tell you, it's been a magnificent debut for one of the prettiest tracks in the sport. And I just can't wait to get back here next year.
And we'll be back here in February. We'll see it right here on the Superstation. Week after the Daytona 500. Always go to Richmond. And what a track to come back to next year on this 3/4 mile. As we watch Davey Allison continue to click off the laps, stay in front of car number 3. Dale Earnhardt in that 2nd position with Terry Labonte 3rd, and Mark Martin having just a great day in 4th spot. Really had his season come alive recently. Alan Kwiccki stays 5th. Mark Martin right down on that wall up in turn number 4. That time about 394 down.
And Kyle Petty's still at a good solid 6, 1 lap down, but it's been a good show for their team, too.
Davey Allison came into today's race having won $989,000. This will put him over the $1 million mark, and remember, he was just 87 when he was Rookie of the Year. The interval is now 2 8/10 of a second as Davey Allison is beginning to feel his oats a little and puts it on a little. We're showing you a bit of an interval right here as we look for car 28 through, and there is Earnhardt in the 2nd position and taking a firm grip on climbing up the ladder in those Winston Cup standings is Earnhardt here. We get down to the end of the 1988 season.
And Davey Allison, this is going to really vault him in the points. I'm sure this will put him well into the top 10.
Sure, he came in here today intent. Phil Parsons has not had a good day, nor Sterling Marlin. Walters will pick up some. Davey is apt to pick up a couple of spots when they do the tabulation when it's over this afternoon. So for the Allison family, the Alabama gang, things are coming together. If we can stick together here, 397 complete. Harold Kinder will be dropping a 2-lap marker over the field very shortly as we get down to wind this one up. Here's Davey in car number 28. This will be the first win for a Ford if it stays there in front for anyone other than Bud Moore. All 3 Ford victories in this race were won by Bud Moore. This particular series at Richmond goes back to 68 or 69 when it was 68 when Petty won in the Plymouth, and then in 69 Bobby Allison won it for Mario Rossi in the Dodge.
Well, I'm really happy for Davey Allison because he's such a class act kid. But Bobby Allison, the way he sounded today, that's 1,000 times better for me. And we love you, Bobby, and can't wait to see you at the racetrack.
Going to hold up his number, number 84. Next year will become part of the Stavola team, but the number 12 is still very much on the calendar with the Stavolas for 1988 for Bobby Allison. Checkered flag is about to fall on his son, who has won here the Richmond 400 this afternoon on this brand new track.
That
what
one's for
finish.
you, Dad, huh?
Yep.
Makes you feel good.
Great win for the Allison family of Alabama. Davey Allison, successful this afternoon, and we'll be back to meet the winner here this afternoon in this hard-fought contest on this brand-new race facility after these messages. Richmond, and we're ready for the celebration. It's already underway down here in Victory Lane for Davey Allison. Let's join them now.
Well, a happy Davey Allison is calling his crew to come join him here in Victory Lane at Richmond. Davey, your dad sent you off with his best wishes. You promised him a victory a long time ago. Now you're giving him a match set.
Well, you know, it's just been a great thrill winning here at Richmond the first race. Paul Sawyer's got a super facility here, and we're just tickled to death to be here in Victory Lane. This is another one for the old man, and with him starting the race off today, that was another big thrill for me, and I've just been on cloud 9 for 2 days.
The Richmond track's never been real kind to you, but you feel like maybe you're on even terms with it?
Well, I think now we've showed everybody that we've got our short track program together, and we got a couple more to go to this year, but we're going to try to win them too, and we're just going to keep digging the rest of the year and try to get ready for 1989.
This victory also puts you over $1 million in Winston Cup winnings. You feel like a millionaire?
Right now I'm wore out, but I feel good.
You kind of dropped back a little bit in those early melees. We kind of lost track of you for a while. Were you biding your time and knowing you could get to the front?
Well, we were just trying to take care of the race car. There was so much action out there I didn't want to be a part of. I just took my time. We talked on the radios, Tony and Robert and I, and we decided just to take it easy and work our way up through the pack slow. We didn't have to get in any hurry because we knew that if we could get to the front, we'd be in control of the race.
Davey Allison, a happy winner here at Richmond International Raceway. Now let's go back upside to Ken Squire.
So here at Richmond this afternoon, Davey Allison is victorious over Dale Earnhardt in second, Terry Labonte in third, Mark Martin is fourth, and Alan Kwiccki is fifth, with Kyle Petty in the sixth position as they came across the line. And we'll be back to wrap up today's activities here in Richmond, Virginia. A final look at the standings after these messages.
Of this great race on a great new track. Let's give away a little goodies here. We have the Mac Tool behind-the-scenes award going to Mike Waltrip's crew. The next time they rebuild an engine at 3 o'clock in the morning in the hotel room, they'll do it with a brand new set of Mac Tools. Congratulations on a job well done. STP leaderboard shows Terry Labonte running third here today, Mark Martin fourth, Alan Kwiccki finishing fifth. Davey Allison not only won the race, but also took the True Value Hard Charger of the Race Award, adding $1,500 to his total over Dale Earnhardt, Ricky Rudd, Terry Labonte, and Kyle Petty, who finished second, third, fourth, and fifth in those rankings. And the fastest lap of the race was turned in by Dale Earnhardt, so his crew will all get Timex Speed Track computers. More importantly, Earnhardt has taken a big bite out of the lead that Bill Elliott enjoys in the Winston Cup Championship standings. Rusty Wallace falls back to third spot after dropping out of the race, and that means that this championship battle is going right down to the wire. That's the story from Richmond. For Ken Squire and Johnny Hayes, Bob Barsha and Jerry Garrett in the pits, and Susie Runyon, I'm Dave Bisbane at the STP Pit Communications Center. It's been a great show. Thanks for being with us.
The Richmond 400 has been brought to you by the Heartbeat of America, today's Chevrolet, and by Goodyear. Goodyear, because there really is a difference. And And by Coors, a beer with a difference worth tasting. A little less heavy, never bitter, but with all the spirit of a great beer. Coors is the one. And by Superflow Motor Oils from Exxon. Want your engine to last? Go with the flow. Go with Superflow. And by Warren Industries. When the going gets tough, Warren keeps you going.